Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 20th meeting of the Yakima School Board. I'd like to welcome you all to our district office for tonight's meeting. To begin with this evening, just as announcements, we do offer Spanish interpretation services from Nate Montgomery with Language Connection. Thank you, Nate, for being here. If you need translation assistance in person, please check with Nate for a device. Nate, would you please translate this information? Thank you, Nate. If you wish to make public comment this evening, there are two options available for you. The first option for commenting on agenda items only, and the second option, which comes later in the meeting, is for all other topics. In order to speak tonight, you'll need to sign two forms. One is the sign-in form, and the second is the guidelines form. Those are available in the back of the room. Barb, would you please take the roll?
Director Walker?
Present.
Director Rice?
Here.
Vice President Villanueva?
Here.
President Beckett?
Here.
Director Navarro Jr. is excused.
To begin tonight, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The character word of the month is civil, encouraging respectful and polite behavior that contributes to the well-being of the community.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
Hoy las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Yakima descansan en las tierras ancestrales de las 14 tribus y bandas confederadas de la nación Yakima.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
La gente de la nación Yakima habitó más de 10 billones de acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties.
En los condados de Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Franklin, Kittitas, Klickitat, y Yakima.
Today we honor those native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture.
Hoy honramos a estos pueblos originales que están vinculados en la tierra a través de historias, leyendas y culturas.
We acknowledge the descendants who live in the world today.
Reconocemos a sus descendientes que viven en el mundo de hoy.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Agradezcamos a los guardianes de la tierra quienes han vivido aquí y continúan viviendo aquí desde tiempos inmemoriales.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect.
Un reconocimiento es una manera simple y poderosa de mostrar respeto.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase indigenous peoples' history and culture.
Y un paso hacia la corrección de las historias y prácticas que borran la historia y la cultura de los pueblos indígenas.
It also honors the truth. También honra la verdad. As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Como distrito escolar, continuaremos fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones con la nación Yakima.
Thank you, Barb, and thank you to our students. At this point, I would direct the members of the board to their section and board docs. We have two obituaries linked, one from the Herald and one from Dignity Memorial, regarding two members of our Yakima School District family who have passed away. Michael Maurice Bosek and Sergio Valdez. Both of their obituaries are linked in board docs for your review. I'd like to ask you all to please join me in a moment of silence as we honor the memory of these members of our Yakima School District family. Thank you. This evening, we have four different sets of recognitions. We're going to begin with the 2024 and 2025 retiree recognitions. And to begin that section of our meeting, I'll turn it over to Director Rice.
Thank you, President Beckett. I'm pleased to be able to share with you the names, and if you all are here, any of you are here, please come up and we'll shake hands. We have a plaque and a cutting board. Nice, even better. And certificates, right? We have certificates.
Just the program.
Oh, just the program, okay. And then shake hands around and we'll do pictures at the moment or at the end? At the end. Okay. So those of you out there that have phones with camera capability, if you want to sneak up and take pictures, you're welcome to do that. And then there will be, we're going to do a group photo at the end. Group photo at the end. Okay. In the courtyard? Okay. Got to get all the notes. Okay, first on the list is Jewel Brumley. Jewel, are you here? Jewel was hired in August 2005 as a TOSA for secondary ELA. The following year, she became an assistant principal at Davis High School. Over the next several years, she served as an assistant principal at Washington Middle School, Franklin Middle School, and Eisenhower High School before becoming the principal of Eisenhower High School. She later returned to the assistant principal role at Lewis and Clark Middle School and also coached girls basketball at Davis. Upon moving to Davis as an assistant principal, she stepped away from coaching. Jewel concluded her career this year as the executive director for learning and leadership. Before joining the Yakima School District, Jewel taught science and math at the Yakima Tribal School, as well as in the Toppenish and West Valley School Districts. She is retiring with an impressive 41 years of service in education. She worked for the Yakima School District for 20 years from August 29, 2005 to June 30, 2025. Jewel Brumley. Rachel Cardenas. Rachel began her career with the Yakima School District as a para-educator substitute at Washington Middle School during the 1995 to 96 school year. She was hired full-time the following year and has dedicated the entire career to Washington Middle School. She began her journey as a colonial and will proudly end her career as a Lion. She worked for the Yakima School District for 29 years from August 1996 to June 2025. Rachel Cardenas. Cherie Carroll. Before joining Franklin, Cherie served as an administrator at McKinley Elementary, building on an impressive 17 years of experience at the middle school level. Congratulations, Cherie. Her return to middle school leadership was marked by a renewed passion for supporting young adolescents and a strong belief in the power of positive relationships and high expectations. Cherie has provided steady guidance, fostered collaboration, and brought a deep understanding of adolescent development to her work with students, staff, and families. Her leadership strengthened Franklin's school culture, promoted student achievement, and nurtured a vibrant, inclusive learning environment. Cherie's impact will be felt for years to come in the lives of the many students, families, and educators she inspired. She worked for the Yakima School District for 11 years, from August 2014 to June 2025. Cherie Carroll.
Next up, we have Mary.
Holly.
Okay. Let's have some secret communication going here. Mary Cawley. Mary was first hired as a cook at Washington Middle School in 2012. Over the next few years, she served at several schools, including Nob Hill, Eisenhower, and Robertson, before settling at Roosevelt Elementary, where she remained until her retirement. She worked for Yakima School District for 13 years, from August of 2012 through February of 2025. Lori Cleveringa. She ended her career at Whitney Elementary as a library media specialist. She worked for Yakima School District for 20 years, from August of 2005 through August of 2025. Maria Cochran. Maria began her teaching career in 1989 in El Salvador before moving to the United States. In Los Angeles, she served as a paraprofessional for 10 years before becoming a teacher at Alexandria Elementary. Over 17 years, she taught at 3 different elementary schools in Los Angeles. After relocating to Yakima, she worked as a substitute for a year before joining Ridgeview Elementary, where she has taught for the past 8 years. Mrs. Cochran has taught every primary grade from kindergarten through 5th grade, bringing dedication, experience, and a passion for student success to each classroom she entered. She worked for Yakima School District for 8 years, from August of 2017 through August of 2025. Kathy Davis. Kathy began her career in education as a long-term paraeducator substitute in the library at Jefferson Elementary in 1976. She was hired full-time in 1977 and has remained dedicated to serving students. Kathy worked at Barge Lincoln Elementary as a classroom paraeducator. In fact, she was there when I received my first contract in this district. So my career began along with Kathy's. Then transitioned to Whitney and Stanton, where she supported reading instruction. In 1985, she returned to Barge Lincoln, where she continued as a reading paraeducator for the remainder of her career. Kathy's long-standing commitment to education and her passion for supporting student learning has made a lasting impact on the students she served. She worked for Yakima School District for 48 years, from September of 1977 through February of 2025. And she hasn't aged a bit since 1978. Monette Dennis. Monette began her career in 2000 at Davis High School as the office manager. In 2004, she transitioned to the finance department as a fund accounting technician. 4 years later, in 2008, she was promoted to director of payroll, a role she held with dedication until 2021. She then assumed the position of director of financial services, serving in that capacity until her retirement. She worked for Yakima School District for 25 years, from October of 2000 through May 21st of 2025.
Carl Easter. Carl began his career at the Yakima School District in 2004. He initially served as the purchasing coordinator, a critical role responsible for overseeing the district's acquisition process. Beyond his primary responsibilities in procurement, Carl demonstrated significant engagement across several key operational functions. These included active involvement in safety and security initiatives, oversight of the Safety Patrol Program, and effective management of district surplus assets, along with the handling of classroom and office furniture resources. His expertise in negotiating contracts and agreements proved instrumental in achieving significant cost savings for the Yakima School District. He worked for Yakima School District for 20 years, from April of 2004 to December of 2024. Thank you, Carl. Rhonda Easter. Rhonda dedicated her life to the education of children. She was a paraprofessional for 16 years and a certified teacher for 4 years at Wilson Middle School. Some of the highlights of her career include receiving the Classified Employee of the Year award and being part of the first cohort of the newly formed teacher education program at Yakima Valley College. She served as an instructional leadership team member and started a Rachel's Challenge program, encouraging students to show random acts of kindness to others. In addition, she worked closely with students in the Highly Capable program and supported the After-School Homework Center for over 10 years. She ended her career at Wilson Middle School, go Cavaliers, as a teacher. She worked for Yakima School District for 20 years, from August of 2004 to December of 2024. Thank you, Rhonda. Phil English. Not here? Okay, well, I have one set of homework that he's been asking for me to turn in for the last 30 years, and I was hoping I could give that to him tonight, but he's not here. Born and raised in Ireland, Phil was recruited to run track and cross country at Washington State University. He began his teaching career at Carroll High School in 1979 as a science teacher and cross country and track coach. His girls cross country teams won 3 consecutive state A titles from 81 to 83, and his boys team won in 1985. When Carroll closed in 1986, Phil joined Eisenhower High School. There, his girls' teams won state titles in 1989, 1994, 99, 2000, and 2010, while the boys' teams won in 1987 and 2010. Phil was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018. In addition to coaching, Phil has been an outstanding science teacher, primarily teaching honors biology and anatomy, college and the high school courses through Eastern Washington University. He worked for the Yakima School District for 39 years, from August of 1986 to August of 2025. Thank you, Phil.
Next, we have John Gilmore. He ended his career at Eisenhower High School as a security monitor. He worked for Yakima School District for 25 years, from September 99 to December 2024. John Gonzalez. John Gonzalez. John began his career in 1999 as an assistant principal at Davis High School. In 2001, he transferred to Lewis and Clark Middle School, where he served as an assistant principal for 4 years. He then returned to the high school level, spending the next 11 years as assistant principal and athletic director at Eisenhower High School. John is concluding his illustrious career at Wilson Middle School, where he has served for the past 8 years as assistant principal and athletic director. He worked for Yakima School District for 26 years from July 99 to June 2025. John Gonzalez. Katrina Goodwin. Tina began her career in the dental industry in 1981 and brought over 3 decades of experience to her role at the YV Tech Dental Assisting Instructor when she was hired in 2012. Over the past 14 years in education, she has been dedicated to student success, combining academic instruction with real-world clinical experience. Her commitment shows over 94% of her students annually met clinical standards and qualify for internships. Tina will retire on June 30th, 2025, marking 44 years in the dental field. She has guided countless students into careers in dentistry or onto further education. Her most memorable moments? When former students return to say, "Thank you, I really learned a lot in your class." For Tina, those visits and the opportunity to witness her students thrive have been the most rewarding part of her journey as an educator. She worked for Yakima School District for 13 years, from August 2012 to August 2025. Katrina Goodwin. Daniel Gordon. Dan was hired as a custodian with the Yakima School District in 1990 at what was then the co-op, where he remained until 1995. He then joined the maintenance department as part of the floor crew until 1996. Dan was then promoted to head custodian at McClure Elementary, then at Nob Hill. In 2020, Dan accepted the head custodian position at Davis High School. At Davis, he served diligently, building strong relationships and a lasting legacy until his retirement. Dan is deeply missed by his staff and friends at Davis, as well as by all who had the pleasure of knowing him. He worked for Yakima School District for 35 years, from September 1990 to June 2025.
Kathleen Green. Kathleen began her career as a custodian at Eisenhower High School in 1997. Congratulations, thank you. In 2002, Kathy accepted the night custodian position at McKinley Elementary, where she maintained the school to the highest standards for staff and students alike. She remained dedicated to McKinley for 22 years until her retirement. Kathy's dedication and positive impact will be deeply missed as she leaves behind big shoes to fill. She worked for the Yakima School District for 27 years, from December 1997 to December 2024. Kathleen Green. Heidi Griffin. Heidi joined Eisenhower High School as a language arts teacher and became department chair in 2012. In 2016, she transitioned into the role of instructional facilitator, where she supported dozens of teachers in improving their instructional practices. During remote learning, Heidi played a key role in training staff on technology tools that helped maintain meaningful engagement with students. Heidi is highly respected by her colleagues and has made a lasting positive impact at Eisenhower High School. She worked for the Yakima School District for 18 years, from August 2007 to August 2025. Heidi Griffin. Teresa Higbee. Teresa was hired in 2011 as a cook at Garfield Elementary. She then became Garfield's kitchen manager and then transferred to McKinley Elementary in 2017. She ended her career at Robertson Elementary as a cook manager. She worked for the Yakima School District for 13 years, from August 2011 to December 2024. Teresa Higbee. Catherine LaRiviere. Catherine LaRiviere began her career with the Yakima School District on August 30, 2001, as a reading specialist at Roosevelt Elementary. After 2 years in that role, she transitioned to teaching kindergarten at Roosevelt, where she remained for the rest of her career. Known for her dedication to early learners and her calm, nurturing presence in the classroom, Catherine has made a lasting impact on generations of students. She worked for the Yakima School District for 24 years, from August 2001 to August 2025. Catherine LaRiviere. I think we ought to keep the next one for last. Stacy Locke. Stacy Locke was hired on July 1, 2000 as an assistant principal at Eisenhower High School. Stacy was named the principal at Eisenhower in 2003, where she remained until 2014. In 2014, Stacy moved to the central office, where she served in various positions. In 2014, Stacy moved to the central office, where she served in various positions, including Executive Director of Safety and Security, Assistant Superintendent of Operations, and most recently, Deputy Superintendent. She worked for the Yakima School District for 25 years, from July 2000 to June 2025. Stacy Locke.
James Long. James was hired as custodian at Washington Middle School in 2015. He was then promoted to head custodian and remained at Washington Middle School until his retirement. James was a positive role model who maintained a safe and clean environment for everyone who entered the building. He worked for Yakima School District for 11 years. Thank you, James. Dana Liebeck. Dana was hired in 2008 as a teacher at Davis High School. During her time there, she taught applied math and financial fitness, making a meaningful difference in the lives of her students. She has made a lasting positive impact not only on her students, but also on her colleagues, contributing to a supportive and collaborative environment at Davis High School. She worked for the Yakima School District for 16 years. Thank you, Dana. Margaret Mariah Lowells. Mariah began her remarkable education journey with the district in 1989 as a paraeducator in the Indian Education Program, where she dedicated herself to supporting elementary students. Her exceptional commitment and growing responsibilities led to her promotion in 1992 to a pro-tech role, expanding her impact to serve K-12 students across all district schools. Over an impressive 36-year tenure, Mariah remained steadfastly devoted to the Native Education Program, where her unwavering dedication helped shape and strengthen educational opportunities for countless students. She worked for the Yakima School District for 36 years. Thank you, Mariah. Carrie Madrinich. Carrie began her teaching career in Minnesota in 1998 before moving to Yakima, where she accepted the teacher librarian position at Hoover Elementary in 2004. She served at Hoover for 10 years before transferring to Wilson Middle School, where she has served for the past 11 years. During her time at Wilson, Carrie coordinated annual book fairs during conference week, a highlight for many students and families. She found great joy in her role as a teacher librarian and took pride in supporting all content areas across the school. She worked for the Yakima School District for 21 years. Thank you, Carrie.
Susan Miller. Susan began her career with the Yakima School District as a substitute secretary. Her commitment and professionalism soon led to a full-time position as a registrar secretary in 2008. In this role, she faithfully served the students and families of Stanton and Yakima Online until September 2012, when she transitioned to Central Services as the Cedars Student Data Supervisor. In this capacity, Susan demonstrated her dedication to student success and data accuracy, ensuring that critical student information was maintained with care and precision. Her work behind the scenes was vital in supporting schools and educators across the district. Her contributions have left a lasting impact, and she will be remembered with gratitude and appreciation. She worked for Yakima School District for 20 years, from October 2004 through October 2024. Thank you, Susan. Kimberly Rich. Kimberly was hired in August 1991 to teach special education at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary. She remained there for 8 years before transitioning to 3rd grade. She then began looping with her class in the intermediate magnet program. When the magnet program was eliminated, she chose to remain in 4th grade. In 2013, Kimberly moved to McClure Elementary, where she continued teaching 4th grade. For the past 2 years, she has served as McClure's Student Success Specialist. She worked for Yakima School District for 34 years, from September 1991 through August 2025. Thank you, Kimberly. Elizabeth Robb. Elizabeth was an exceptional substitute teacher who served the Yakima School District for 4 years, taking on several long-term assignments at McClure, Lewis and Clark, and Hoover Elementary in 2nd, 3rd, and 8th grades. In 2006, she was hired at McClure as a reading interventionist, a role she held for 2 years. In 2008, she accepted a 1st grade position, but truly found her calling in 2009 when she transitioned to 2nd grade, a grade she remained dedicated to until her retirement. She worked for Yakima School District for 19 years, from January of 2006 through August 2025. Jesus Segura. Jesus first began as a para-educator where he discovered his passion for supporting students. He later became a classroom teacher and went on to serve as an administrator for 8 years. Despite his success in leadership, his deep love for teaching eventually brought him back to the classroom. Thank you. Congratulations. Jesus has been an integral part of Franklin Middle School family for an incredible 21 years. During that time, he built meaningful relationships with students, families, and colleagues, always leading with humility, warmth, and a deep belief in every child's potential. Jesus's influence will be felt long after his retirement through the countless lives he touched and the strong, supportive community he helped cultivate at Franklin. He worked for Yakima School District for 36 years, from October 1989 through August 2025.
Mary Lynn Stangland. Mary has devoted over 4 decades to education, music, literacy, touching countless lives with her warmth and dedication. Beginning her career as a choir director in Nebraska and Colorado, she soon expanded into education, teaching ELL, special education, and reading from rural Oregon to Idaho. Her passion for music continued as she led choirs in churches and schools while supporting students in Title I reading and speech. Mary brought her expertise to Washington in the late 90s, serving as a reading specialist in Toppenish and Yakima. Since 2007, she's been a cornerstone of Hoover Elementary, moving from reading intervention to second grade, and finally guiding students as a library media specialist. Mary's retirement marks a celebration of a life dedicated to nurturing students' minds and hearts through literacy, music, and care. We honor her incredible legacy and wish her joyful adventures ahead. She worked for Yakima School District for 24 years from August 2001 to August 2025. Deborah Travis. Deborah began her journey with the Yakima School District in April 2018 as a substitute paraeducator. Her dedication quickly earned her a permanent position at Garfield Elementary by August. After 3 years at Garfield, she briefly served at Hoover before finding her home at Roosevelt Elementary, where she supported students in the resource room until her retirement, concluding 7 years of meaningful service. Known for her professionalism, compassion, and commitment to student success, Deborah was also among the first paraeducators in the district to earn a general paraeducator certificate from the state, a proud milestone in her career. Her contributions have left a lasting impact, and she will be fondly remembered by students and colleagues alike. She worked for the Yakima School District for 7 years, from August 2018 to June 2025. Linda Vance. Linda began her custodial career in 1992 at Franklin Middle School and Roosevelt Elementary as a split site. In 1996, she transferred to a custodial position at Gilbert Elementary, where she remained until 1999. She then worked as a custodian at Eisenhower High School until 2001. Linda then accepted the night custodial position at Ridgeview Elementary, where she cared deeply for the staff and students for 24 years. Her dedication and presence at Ridgeview and throughout the Yakima School District will be missed. She worked for Yakima School District for 33 years, from May 1992 to June 2025.
Anna Villaseñor. Anna began her career with the Yakima School District as a translator, using her engineering background and language skills to champion bilingualism and biliteracy. She later became the Language Access Program Supervisor, leading efforts to align district practices with Washington's new language access law, streamline workflows, and implement consistent tools across schools. Anna helped standardize the district's family guide and supported interpreter training, always with a focus on quality and care. Known for her professionalism, attention to detail, and deep compassion, Anna built strong relationships across departments. She consistently uplifted her colleagues with kind words, encouragement, and often homemade birthday treats. I'm not sure that they're going to let you get away without doing more birthday treats. She worked for the Yakima School District for 31 years, from August 1994 through August 2025. Anna Villaseñor. Edward Ned Walsh. Ned joined YV Tech in 2009 as the culinary arts instructor, bringing over 4 decades of experience in the hospitality and food service industry. For 16 years, Chef Walsh was a cornerstone of the program, known for blending industry expertise with a student-focused instruction. Under his guidance, students consistently excelled in competition, earning numerous podium finishes, including multiple Skills USA state champions in culinary and baking. His passion for excellence and mentorship left a lasting impact on the program and its students. Chef Walsh's culinary journey began in 1975 and included owning the renowned 901 Pasta. Even while teaching, he remained active in the industry, modeling the same work ethic he encouraged in his students. To his students, he leaves a legacy of fairness, compassion, and support. His classroom was more than a kitchen. It was a place where students gained skills for life, built confidence, and were always treated with dignity and respect. He worked for the Yakima School District for 16 years, from September 2009 through August 2025. Edward Ned Walsh.
Very sorry that Ned wasn't here. I've always wanted that artichoke soup recipe. I was hoping this was maybe going to be the night I could finally get that out of his hands, but
You still have a couple of weeks.
a chance. Yeah. Next on our list is Ricky Watts. Ricky was hired in 2008 to lead the YB Tech Public Safety and Law Enforcement Program after retiring from the Yakima Police Department. Over the past 16 years, he has educated, mentored, and inspired future public safety professionals. With a strong background in law enforcement, Officer Watts brought real-world experience to the classroom, creating a learning environment focused on discipline, professionalism, and practical skills. Under his guidance, students received hands-on training in safety procedures, criminal justice concepts, and career readiness aligned with industry standards. One of the most rewarding parts of his teaching journey has been seeing former students return as professionals now serving in local, regional, and federal law enforcement. Their success reflects his lasting impact and deep commitment to student achievement and career growth. He worked for the Yakima School District for 17 years. Thank you, Ricky. Joanne Weir. Joanne began working as a substitute for the Yakima School District in 1996 and was hired as an accounts payable specialist in the finance department in 1998. In October of 1998, she became the classified payroll coordinator, a role she held until her retirement. Joanne was honored as one of the Classified Employees of the Year in 2017. She worked for the Yakima School District for 27 years, from January of 1998 to July of 2025. Thank you, Joanne.
Mr. President?
Yes. Director Rice?
I would like to point out that the collective years of service for the educators and support staff that we are honoring tonight is 807.
807.
Can we have a round of
That is
applause for
impressive.
them?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of our retirees who are honored tonight, and especially those who showed up. We have 3 other very short recognitions, after which time I would love it if we could take advantage of the backdrop for pictures and do photos on the in the courtyard as people would like to. At that point, we'll take a short recess. But coming up next, so please don't run off. We would love to take pictures. But coming up next, we have 3 more recognitions, beginning with Director Villanueva. Sorry, thank you, Marcel. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. Next is the Excellence in Education Awards. The Yakima School District is proud to join together with the Yakima Schools Foundation, Crystal Apple Committee, and community partners to bring the Excellence in Education Awards. It's important we honor and show our gratitude to our teachers, staff, and community members for their commitment to education and impacting the lives of our future leaders. We applaud each and every person who works to strengthen public education, create equity, and empower our students to achieve academic and personal success. The Board of Directors is proud to recognize the recipients of the Excellence in Education Awards. Shining Star Award recipients. The purpose of this award is to recognize the outstanding achievements of the Yakima School District classified employees. It honors those employees who consistently demonstrate outstanding work performance, exemplary leadership, collaboration, and dedication to the district and its mission every day. Blanca Cepeda, Student and Family Liaison at Hoover Elementary School. Yvette Vargas, behavior paraprofessional at McClure Elementary School. Jasmine Talavera, front desk coordinator, receptionist at Central Services. Joy Houghton, paraeducator at Nob Hill Elementary School. Christy Calkins, athletics activities secretary and facility rental coordinator at Central Services.
Next up, we have Crystal Apple Award recipients. And keep in mind, these folks have already received their awards at a previous ceremony, but we're recognizing them again tonight. So we don't have awards for them tonight. This award honors the certified educator profession by awarding certificated individuals who positively impact the lives and futures of their students. Crystal Apple Awards are given by the business community in Yakima, not the district. The chairpersons of the Crystal Apple Awards this year are Carmela Solarzano and Drew Harris. The goals of the Crystal Apple Awards are to reward excellence in education in the Yakima Public Schools, encourage creative and quality instruction, encourage the development of a positive learning environment, encourage excellent educators to remain in education as a career, provide an incentive for individual initiative on the part of educators, and contribute in a substantive way to improvement of education in the Yakima School District. This year's winners were Ame Merrill, third grade teacher at Roosevelt Elementary School. Let me correct that pronunciation. It's Amy Merrill. And please feel free, anybody else whose name I mispronounced, feel free to correct me. Josh Holliday, medical sciences teacher at YV Tech. Justin Regalado, kindergarten teacher at Gilbert Elementary School. Natalie Rodriguez, sixth grade reading 180 reading intervention at Washington Middle School. And finally, Trindy Alviso, seventh grade reading 180 reading intervention at Washington Middle School. There must be one powerful reading program to have two winners this year.
It's my pleasure to introduce the Yakima Schools Foundation Champion of Youth Award. The purpose of this award is to recognize a community member who impacts the lives of our students and empowers them to achieve academic and personal success. Nominees are seen as outstanding community members dedicated to strengthening public education, creating equity, and empowering students. They are committed to seeking ways to enhance student learning to ensure a brighter tomorrow. This year's recipient is Rodney Hankinson. Rodney is retiring after 36 years with the Washington State Department of Ecology.
I'd like to thank our board and Barb especially for helping coordinate all this. And I'd really like to say a special thank you to our retirees and the recipients of these awards who we're able to honor tonight. We are going to take a short recess in order for everyone to have a chance to take advantage of the photo backdrop and to go out onto the courtyard for a photo if we get a chance. 8:02, 10 minutes, 8:02. We will reconvene at 8:02 p.m. Thank you all for being here and congratulations again. Thank you. Just as an FYI, now that we're coming back, there are about 6 or 7 seats up front. If people don't want to stand, there are some empty chairs up front. Please feel free to fill them if you'd like to. At this point, we move to our reports to the board section. We have 4 reports to the board this evening. And to begin with, President Guerrero from YEA. Franny, welcome. Come on up.
Good evening. I'm before you again to ask you again to direct your cabinet to rescind the RIFs or at the very least reinstate the secondary librarians. I'm extremely concerned that the district would continue to engage in the practice of balancing the budget by cutting student-facing positions while at the same time adding to staffing downtown. And allow me to quote your own words at the previous school board meeting when you noted that the best lies are based in half-truths. You yourselves are engaging in this practice when you deny adding to your staff, deny that you are adding another superintendent position, that you are simply not replacing the HR superintendent, and therefore you are not adding to your staffing. But the truth is, there were 5 superintendents prior to you coming here. You added an additional superintendent to your cabinet to make it a total of 6. When the TNL superintendent left at the end of last year, you chose not to refill that position then, and you called it a cut. I call it a lie based on a half-truth. It was a cutback from a cabinet you bloated, but it was not an actual cut in the usual number of superintendents. And now you are claiming that you are not adding additional staffing. But I tell you that right now you have 5 superintendents. In the fall, you will have 6 full-time superintendents, which is an additional superintendent. After the HR superintendent retires, you will drop to 5.5 superintendents, which is still greater than the current 5 full-time superintendents. And so you are, in fact, adding to your staffing, and you are doing so at the expense of student-facing positions. At a time when we are in a precarious financial position, you have chosen to balance the budget by cutting those who work directly with students, rather than by cutting the staffing downtown. That places an enormous strain on the budget because the state does not allocate the district funding for those extra positions. The one thing the superintendent and I can agree on beyond the shadow of the doubt, the one thing that we will both work together to fight for is fixing that allocation model. We both recognize it is one of the most worthless things in existence. But this cabinet has chosen to strain the budget by overhiring central admin staffing rather than student-facing positions. To clarify, the majority of our funding comes from the state. They decide how many teachers, how many principals, and how many central services staff our student enrollment warrants. The state never allocates enough, and so we have to make up the balance of that, for example, through levy money. However, when you reach a precarious financial position such as we have, central services should not be staffing beyond the state allocation model. And that is what you have before you, what the state allocation model was last year. And so you can see how you overspent last year, which would be similar to this year. Allow me to illustrate with a simplistic model. Let's say there are 3,000 students in the district. The state believes that for every 30 students, we deserve one teacher. So 3,000 students would warrant 100 teachers. The state will also say that that 3,000 students only warrants 3 counselors and 2 nurses, and that you can fit those 3,000 students into 3 different buildings, and so you only need 3 principals. That is what state allocation means, is that they decide how many staff we warrant. In a district of that hypothetical size, you would only need 2 superintendents and 5 directors and maybe 10 other central service staff. Now, we know that allocation model is downright draconian, and by no stretch of the imagination does it suffice to serve our students adequately. And so we tap into other pots of money, including levy money, to hire additional staffing. My concern is that you have, for the second year in a row, substantially reduced student-facing positions while not making reductions in your own staffing to match the state's allocation models, so that we are not having to overspend by millions of dollars, because that is what the state is shorting us in terms of central services staffing. If anyone should be staffed beyond the state allocation model, it is those who work directly with students. All of the classified personnel, all the certified personnel that work directly with students are the ones who need to be more than adequately staffed. That extra cost can be justified as necessary. What is not justifiable right now is the extra cost that is incurred with the additional staffing at central services, especially when it comes to adding additional superintendents at the expense of teachers and librarians. We don't need people down here in these offices pushing paper. We need people in the buildings who work directly with students, who serve students directly. We need our librarians. I know you think that maybe it's an archaic model and that they're not student-centered services anymore, but they are. Walk into those secondary libraries and see how many students use them for myriad reasons. Those certified staff provide a lot of services to those students. Cutting them, cutting the heart of knowledge, it's unconscionable. And while I can appreciate the cuts that have been made, the program cuts that have been made to make the district more efficient, there's one program that has in fact caused staffing cuts, and that is the dual language program. It screams budget mismanagement to cut 43 certified positions that have left 15 people still jobless while you hire 15 outside teachers for the dual language program. It should have been frozen for another year or restricted to where it is, but instead it is being rolled up and rolled out to additional schools with less support than it began with, even though it is being grown markedly. Rather than freeze this program, the decision was made to displace veteran teachers, who in turn were forced into the positions of newer hires, who already went through this gut-wrenching process last year. And now, as they go through it again, they are forced to see the district hiring large numbers for a program that is not even being adequately supported. If you cannot see the inherent hypocrisy of claiming that our new hires are valued when it looks like they were basically fired to pave the way for the dual language program, then I question exactly how much this district really cares. And speaking of caring, the recent assistant principal moves are just another contributing reason in a long list of reasons why people don't trust this district, considering how perhaps it did not even occur to anyone that hiring over a dozen program-specific teachers at the expense of those currently employed would look absolutely callous and rather unethical. Perhaps the carnage of disruption preceding what might normally be just the usual leadership movement might have also escaped you. So yes, perhaps this honestly hasn't occurred to you, but these are not normal times. And you can't just pile onto the RIF chaos and think that it isn't going to have an effect, because it does. Once again, for the second year in a row, you have disrupted relationships that people have created in grade level teams and in their departments. Once again, you are forcing people to literally pick up and move and start all over again. You have interrupted the flow of experience that allows expertise to develop. And this year, you have intensified that disruption by making at least a dozen building admin moves. Most people understand that some moves simply have to happen, and they are happening for good reason. But many of these moves are not understood. And you have many buildings questioning why you are taking away leaders that have provided stability and positive energy in their buildings. Claiming it is for the sake of growing leadership is not a sufficient reason because, again, these are not normal times. There appears to be a lack of transparency that frustrates staff. No one ever asked for their input. No one gave anyone any inkling about what was about to be ripped from them. And in case you were wondering, that is exactly what many of them are feeling. I would know. I have been there. I had a top 3 in the nation administrator ripped away from me, and I remember what that felt like. I remember what that did to morale in the building, and I never forgave the district for that. And the leadership in that building never reached that top 3 in the nation level again. You cannot begin to imagine the anxiety that these staff members are feeling, not to mention the personal slight they are probably also feeling. Things are going great, and now they have to start over on top of everything else. Why put anyone through that? Can you not let people have some stability to count on for next year? I remember the dumpster fire my building endured, and by March, the building reps were ready to do a vote of no confidence in that administrator. The loss of that leadership haunts me to this day. I've never had an administrator advocate or protect their staff like that one did. In my entire life, and for the record, I'm almost half a century-year-old, I've never had to go to therapy. And one of my administrators didn't protect me and sent me there because they didn't protect me. If you wonder why these people are so upset about the moves you're making, it's because they have no idea what to expect. I have full confidence. For the record, I feel very confident in telling my people that I truly do not believe any of them will not have my nightmare experience. I truly believe most, if not all of these moves will work out in the end. But I also know there will inevitably be growing pains, and my members should not have to endure that on top of everything else. They are here today to share their broken hearts with you over the rifts and the moves. And I hope that you listen and take to heart what they are telling you and actually think about listening to their concerns and their needs. They are your people, and you are supposed to be doing what is best for them so that it happens, it works. Putting them in a good place is what's best for students. And I'm pretty sure you're going to hear from students today too, because losing solid leadership affects them too.
Thank you, Ms. Guerrero. Our next report to the board is regarding the migrant education program, and for that report tonight, we'll have Hector Mendez presenting. Welcome, Hector.
Thank you, President Beckett, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Green, Cabinet. Presenting, my name is Hector Mendez, and I am the Migrant Federal Program Director here in the Yakima School District, and I'm going to be presenting 5 slides. You have the entire presentation, but I just want to let you know that I'll have questions at the end. So this is my 3rd year in this program as a Federal Program Director, and I am proud to say that I have a PAC, Parent Action Committee, that I meet with monthly. And what I really appreciate about this committee is because they're migrant, 100% of them are migrant. There's 5 of them, the president, vice president, 3 sergeant at arms. Our meetings are always conducted in Spanish, which is always important for us. One thing I want to mention a little bit about our program, not only here in Yakima, but holistically in the state of Washington, that there's 66 school districts represented by 4 ESDs with direct support to our migratory students. We're fortunate enough to have the ESD that I work closely with on a regular basis, who also works with OSPI. But more importantly, there's 3 districts. The 3 districts with the largest number of identified students are Yakima, Kennewick, and Pasco. And then the actual order is actually Kennewick, Yakima, Pasco. And then those serving the largest numbers, there's identified, and then they're serving our students. The largest number of students are Yakima, Wahluke, and Kennewick. We're top 3 in the state. I also want to say, in which we know that most of our migratory families are connected to the agriculture around our area, right? And there's it's often engaged in the picking, the apples, cherries, and so forth, and which we have more information in the docket. Our team, before I move on to the next slide, our team, there are 17 members in our team. And of course, I lead that. I'm one of the 17. So we have our migrant recruiters, our migrant nurse that holistically works with our migrant students. We have advocates, migrant advocates, graduation specialists. We have an out-of-school advocate, and also our office staff and then family parent engagement. And so we are busy working with our migrant students on a regular basis. I'm proud to say that we're doing a lot. So the next slide. I really want to focus on our priority for service, our PFS students. So PFS, our students, there's a lot of risk factors that come with priority for service and how they come to us as priority for service, but really there's 2 big ones. One of them is that there's an interrupted move during the school year, even during the summer. Many of our families, migrant families, they do migrate or travel, move from district to district. And once they do that, that's a qualifying move. And so a lot of our districts, we communicate with each other to make known that a migrant student is either leaving or coming to our district. And it's a great communication system we have in the state. Also, they're also considered PFS because they may be children who are failing or most at risk of failing. And so to meet those academic challenges, we want to make sure that our advocates and graduation specialists meet regularly with our priority for service students, right? And so there's over 800, I believe it's 808 students we have district-wide who are priority for service. There's a lot of students. And so there's the 2 big ones, but there's others. Speaking of priority for service, I'm going to be using that term for the remainder of my presentation because a priority for service students are those that we want to invite first to any kind of academy or after-school program or anything else for that matter. For example, we do have an after-school migrant program at 6 elementary schools. And the reason for that is because most of our elementary schools have a 21st century after-school program, which our migrant students are already invited to. So at the other schools that do not have a 21st century, we started a migrant after-school program, focusing on priority for service first, right? And those that need the academic support, social emotional support as well. And our focus last year, and it continues into this year, is math. And based on our comprehensive needs assessment, our interviews with parents and students, math is where we're lagging behind. So the last 2 years, we focused a lot on math at all levels. And so priority for service. So priority for service, last year, we started something new. We called the Migrant Wellness Days. Mount Vernon, Washington, and Sunnyside 3 years ago started something that I heard about, which were called Wellness Days. And that's really focusing on the social emotional support of our students. I heard about this at at the national conference. They presented, I listened, and I thought, why can't we do that here in Yakima? So last year, I met with our team. We thought big, as they say, think big, start small. And so we started with our middle school folks last year. We held our first Migrant Wellness Day. Well, fast forward to this year, on February 25th and February 27th, on the 25th, we ended up with 91 migrant students, priority for service, students that moved within that year or need some support. Met with them. We picked them up at the school, met at ESD 105. In that, so that was on February 25th. On February 27th, we had 61 high school students, 2 different days. My goal is to bring them together, but I couldn't find a room big enough that was comparable to help meet those needs. So ESD helped us out there. And so we met at ESD from 9 to 2. 9 to 2 is all day deal. To bring student voice into this, we interviewed or surveyed, not interviewed, we surveyed our students. We gave them a list of 10 topics that they would like to learn more, to know more about during this wellness day. And those are the top 3 that they chose. First one's healthy relationships. So the organization Think Twice brought some slides and some information of healthy relationships with families, friends, and so forth. We had Mr. Eddie Espinosa, who really talked about creativity, an artist, a local artist here in Yakima, who's also a migrant student and a product of the Yakima School District. He spoke to our students and talked about the importance of self-care. And his self-care is art. And so he brought that in and spoke to our students. And the last one was breath work for mind-body awareness. We know a lot of our students really struggle with anxiety, depression, and so forth. And so we really wanted to focus on the needs of the student. The pictures you see there on the bottom left are the 61 high school students. And that was our opening at 9 o'clock. That young lady there in the middle is her name is Ava. She's a sophomore at Davis High School. She's the daughter of our president, PAC president. So she opened up, and you can't see in the back, but there's another group of students, and we just opened up with getting to know each other because we had students there from Eisenhower, Davis, and Stanton Academy. The middle picture, each student that attended the Wellness Day received a string bag with materials used for the day in the specific classes that are mentioned up there, as well as some snacks and so forth. You can't really see, but there's the bottom left of that middle picture, there's a purple pencil. Everyone had a different color pencil. Depending on the color pencils, where you started, either 1, 2, or 3, and attended those 3 sessions throughout the day. Lastly, on the right is Claudia Dominguez, who's a migrant support staff over at ESD leading. It's hard to see, but the bottom right picture says the cycle of anxiety, giving examples of how to self-regulate and when to know those triggers. That's just one example. So those are just examples of Wellness Day. Next year, we're going to make it better and bigger. And so my goal is to invite not only Priority for Service, but also other students, migrant students, to continue that support. And so we're supplying for next year. Lastly, SEALA by 2 more slides, SEALA by literacy. I'm proud to say that our migrant students, 168 migrant students achieved the level 4 on the SEALA by literacy test, earning the biliteracy proficiency milestone. These are 8th grade to 12th grade students because they start taking this test in 8th grade. 168 students achieved that score. And that seal is awarded to students, yes. Thank you. The seal is awarded to students who have studied and attained proficiency in 2 more languages by the time they graduate high school. And speaking of graduation, last year we had 100 students, migrant students, graduate high school, and I'll share some better results here in a little bit. Out of the 100 students, 53 migrant, more than half, graduated with the seal of biliteracy, which I'm super proud of, and that we should all be proud of. Yes. Lastly is our graduation rates. And what I'm showing you now is depicting is the YSD versus Washington State. On the far left, the first column, you see the last 3 years. I only took the last 3 years, and this is on the OSPRI report card. You see the second column over the last 3 years is the average percent for the state of Washington graduation rates. The first blue column, third column, YSD, we're pretty close. 81.8, I believe it says, 81.7 and 79.1. Then I look at all our migrant students in the state of Washington. You can see their averages in the high 70s, but then look at Yakima. Yakima, we're surpassing the national or the state average compared to other migrant students, but we're almost meeting at one time the Washington State students. If you look at 22-23, we're off by 0.3%. We're doing great work, and I applaud our team, our migrant team, our teachers, and everyone else that supports our migrant students, because it's a challenge for our migrant students, especially when they migrate and move from one place to another. And it just shows that we in Yakima are doing a great work with our migrant students. So I'd like to thank our staff, teachers, support staff, admin, and so forth, all the way down the line for their work for making this possible. Thank you. What questions do you have?
Any questions from members of the board? Director Rice?
I don't necessarily have a question, but these statistics that you shared with us, Hector, They are outstanding. The fact that we in Yakima are surpassing the state for our migrant student achievement. I mean, I don't even have words to tell you how proud I am of the staff and the students who can accomplish this. Our migrant students come to us with more challenges than many adults suffer from or are affected by. And yet they can come in and accomplish these results speaks highly of your staff and the educators that they encounter within the district. So congratulations on that. I'm very proud of you and your program and what you're doing to support kids.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Credit all our teachers and support staff. Absolutely.
I've had the opportunity to oversee teaching and learning this year and work directly with Hector. And I would be remiss if I didn't give him an absolute shout out for seeing not only what he has done, but what he continues to do to expand the services and the support we see in our community behind the work that he's doing. It's phenomenal. So I know I'm a short timer. I don't have a lot of time to say thank you so much for everything you do, but you're just an outstanding leader in our district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the report this evening. Our next report this evening is regarding the Highly Capable program, and Jamie Lee will be presenting this evening. So welcome, Jamie.
All right. Good evening, Board President, board members, Cabinet, and Dr. Green. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. It's my honor to present to you some facts about our Highly Capable program in the district. So to begin with, I would need to start by thanking a team of people who came together to really change how students are screened and recommended for the assessment. And so this team consisted of Joel Brumley, myself, Nick Mifflin, Tanya Randolph, Tina Gertzenberger, and Ilda Parra. In previous years, we tested whole entire grade levels. There is legislature around Highly Capable and the programming, and it requires us to actually test 2 grade levels. So we had a focus on 2nd grade, which actually resulted in about 1,300 students being tested annually. One change that we needed to make was add an additional grade. And so we chose to focus on our 6th graders and kind of look at the middle school level and try to capture students that may have been missed along the way. Traditionally, in the past, when we were testing 1,300 students, on average, we were qualifying about 40 to 50 students each year. Some years were a little higher, some years a little lower. When we came back from COVID, we actually tested all 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders, and we qualified 99 students that year. What we were seeing historically is when students were qualified, we had limited representation from all of our schools, East Side versus West Side schools, and we were seeing higher qualification in our West Side schools. And we were not seeing equal representation amongst all of our demographics. So this year, the team that I had mentioned previously came together and chose to focus on 2nd and 6th grade students. And we really took a new approach to screening. So students have to be tested to qualify into the program, but how students are recommended for testing can vary in different ways. Anyone can recommend a student for testing at any grade level. So it could be a community member, a teacher, a parent, and we take those recommendations and then move the students forward to taking an assessment that is we lovingly reference as the COGAT, which is another acronym, but it's a cognitive aptitude test. And then we test those 2 grade levels. So we really pared down the screening approach using data, and we have an amazing person in our assessment department, Tina, who put all of these screening sheets together. So by looking at students and their context within academics, their growth, their moving within and out of programs. So looking at things like their WIDA score, which is the score from the assessment that our multilingual learners take, where they came in with WAKIDS, which is a kindergarten assessment, the Smarter Balance assessment, the science assessment, we were really able to target students and recommend those students for testing. And then again, we had our parent and teacher referrals. So I am proud to say that we qualified 162 students this year. So that's up from our average of 40 to 50 students. But what I think that is even more astonishing is that while we used to test 1,300 students because we were testing everyone, we only tested 442 students this year. So we reduced our testing, but increased our students that actually were recommended for the program. And then on the slide in front of you, you'll see some demographic shifts and then some racial distribution shift. So we generally were not seeing students with disabilities being qualified, and we qualified 11 students this year. We qualified 10 multilingual students, 3 students with 504 plans, and 5 migrant students into the program. And historically, we were not seeing any of those numbers represented. We also increased our racial distribution, qualifying 108 Hispanic students, 28 students, 4 students of 2 or more races, and 45 white students. And so that's actually really a change in our distribution amongst our program, which thus results in wider representation across all of our schools. There is the opportunity for appeals if a student does not qualify by taking the COGAT test. And of those appeals this year, we received 3, and one of those students was admitted to the program. One student was retested, and one student was being invited to test next year. By changing the screening process, we were actually able to reduce $20,000 in timesheets. We used to do human screening and really looking at every student individually versus all of their academics using all of the assessments that I had mentioned previously. And another change in the program is we have a data solutions program called Homeroom, and Homeroom had an add-on for highly capable, and we actually discontinued that add-on and chose to make our own custom form in Skyward, which actually made the form more accessible to our teachers. So once a student is qualified into the highly capable program and the parent agrees to have them in our program, we are required to develop a service plan for that student. So how are we going to serve them and meet their needs? That was usually done on in their service plan, which could be found in Homeroom, or it could be found in their cumulative file. So not easily accessible to all of the teachers within the student's day. Now on Skyward, we will have that form available. So everyone who has access to that student within the day will have access to the form. The form just got finished being completed, so we still have some training to do, but that will be rolled out by Tanya Randolph, who supports our program, thus enhancing the teacher's access to that information right at their fingertips. Additionally, by not testing 1,300 students across the board, we were able to retain some of those licenses, so we'll be able to move those to testing for next year. And through that screening process, we actually documented the entire process, so we'll be able to replicate that year after year. So that has resulted really in a continuous improvement of our program, creating sustainability measures by documenting the screening process, establishing the framework to continue those future improvements, and keeping some resources to allocate for future years. By shifting this program, we've seen benefits in inclusivity across our schools, the greater demographic representation, and then more efficient identification in our students. Any questions?
Yes, thank you for the detailed update on what we're doing in terms of screening and identifying kids, but I'm curious as to what we're actually doing programmatically with students once they've been identified.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd ask that question. It is year 3 of our PLC journey, and question number 4 in every PLC is, what are we doing for students who have already met the content or met the guaranteed standard or have mastered what we're moving through? So it's really through the differentiation process. So when planning, we were really good at planning for students who aren't meeting standard. And through the PLC process, we're getting better at differentiating for all of our students across the board. Another way that we do that is through what we refer to as the cluster model. So students that are identified as highly capable traditionally have been clustered or in reference to the model and placed in the same classroom so that the teacher has a better ability of differentiating for not all levels that on a large gamut, but they can actually focus on their highly capable students.
Jamie, I know that, well, I used to know what the percentage was for funding provided from the state for highly capable. Percent of the district's budget, of the enrollment. Okay, so of that little bit of money that the state provides to us, what is a day in the life of a highly capable student look like? Can you give me a picture of that?
Well, and it depends on the level, right? So we're
course.
talking about kindergarten through 12th grade. So really at the high school levels, you see students being served a lot with their honors classes or in the qualifications within the IB program at the secondary level. And then our middle schools are also offering honors classes almost at all of them, soon to come. And then at the elementary level, it really looks based on, so we expect students to meet their grade level standards first. And so then once a student has done that, then it may look very different depending on the classroom and the area of qualification for the student. So it could look anything like a research project that the student is engaging in to creative writing to a deeper dive into some mathematical concepts. So there's a large variety of the areas that students may qualify within the COGAT test. And so it really goes back to that differentiation and looking at the whole child.
So a student who's maybe artistically very competent, would they have access to an art component in their programming for highly capable?
And depending on the level, right, and their interest, and then also their extracurricular activities. The easy answer is yes. The more difficult answer is where is that embedded within the day, especially within core content. So we do see a lot of that happening in their STEAM classrooms or their science classrooms, or even in the enrichment activities that are available within their ELA or SLA curriculum. So it's really has to be embedded with and intentional within the enrichment activities. It's not necessarily in their everyday core content.
I know we have to fight every year with the legislature for funding. And it seems to me that it used to be 3% and now it's 2 point something. Do you have suggestions about what kind of information we might share with our legislators on academic achievement or other components that they might be interested in
I think
to help make them aware of the necessity of highly capable funding?
Yeah, I think that we are really good at looking even through the PLC process and getting better looking at question 3. I think we get overwhelmed with what do we do with our students who haven't met the content yet, because that is our ultimate goal, is to have every student succeeding at their grade level. And generally you see bigger numbers in those areas. And so I think that when we're thinking about advocacy, that we're looking at, if we're advocating, so we have a lot of K2 dyslexia law, there's the LAP law for students who are struggling. We don't necessarily have that large of legislature for students who are not. And so I think advocating in comparison to what we already have for students who are struggling to be the same as for students who are higher achieving.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but just want to recognize the efforts around ensuring that there's equal access to the highly capable programming, and appreciate the numbers and data that better reflects our student population. So thank you for that work.
Thank you.
I'd also just like to thank Jamie for her work around this. We recognized about a year ago that we really needed to take a review of our highly capable program and bring it up to the 21st century here. And Jamie's done an outstanding job leading that effort. And I know it will continue beyond what she demonstrated today. So thank you very much, Jamie, for your leadership.
And thank you, Stacy. But one thing that I did leave out that Tanya Randolph is beginning that we've never done before is starting at the end of this week and carrying through the first week of June. She's going to actually set about to interview our highly capable students and gain their perspective on their programming and some of their needs. So that will be coming down very soon.
Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate the report this evening. Thank you very much. Our third department report tonight is from our special education program, and Casey Mitchell will be presenting. Welcome, Casey.
That's a wonderful start. So I do want to say thank you to the board for the opportunity to get to share some information this evening. We've got several slides that you will be able to look at. I am going to walk us through about 5 slides similar to my compatriots in the other departments. But I first want to just make sure that I give a shout out to all of the hard work that people have done this year. We've got some really good news to share, I think, and I want to thank all the staff that have worked so hard to make these numbers become the way that they are. I also want to thank staff for the grace and the commitment and the kindness that they've offered a new boss in this position. So I appreciate that very much. So as we look, I think I went the wrong way. Is that me or you? All right. It definitely is never Barb. That's the answer to that question. So last summer, I got to spend some time with you and shared with you the main topics that really we have focused on over the last several months in special education. And I like to think them as really the top 3 items or focus that we have. And then I because I am who I am, there is a +1, right? So we have 3 items +1. Thank you for smiling at that. Trevor was less than pleased with the +1, but the top three really are IEP compliance, our one-on-one services to students, and our speech and language services. And then the +1 is the long-term goal of making sure that we have greater levels of inclusionary practices in Yakima School District. And again, I would praise our staff and our principals, all of the folks that have worked really hard to continue to work on that. I think some of the good news that I get to share tonight as the leader of the department, which I'm really proud to be the leader of this department, is IEP compliance. And so one of the things that we have spent a lot of time on, and we've done a number of strategies, and some of them that I want to point out is that we have created, on here you will see we've created an IEP spreadsheet with daily updates regarding out of compliance IEPs. We can track now on a daily basis, and the school board, I believe in the summer, had asked me how we were going to take care of this issue that we were having with out of compliance. We can track on a daily basis where we are at with out of compliance IEPs, and we know exactly what's happening with that. So I'm proud of my staff for that. The other piece is consistent, and in fact, in my case, sometimes daily tracking of our out of compliance IEPs. And so that is something that I think has really been helpful to us. I was speaking with one of our staff members this afternoon, and he was just saying, you know, I was surprised you didn't call me or send me an email about that out of compliance IEP or near out of compliance IEP. So I just love that people are really keeping track of that. The other piece that we do offer for our staff, and I think this is a very important help, is that we do have a teacher on special assignment who provides support and technical assistance. So if teachers are having some issues with our our IEP program, we call it Power, it is called Power School, then we can provide that technical assistance as necessary. And that is live technical assistance. Right over there is his office, and he can provide support just when people need it. Corey does a great job for us, and I think everyone would agree with that. The other piece is that we really have focused on getting our principals involved with this. And so principal supervision and support in helping us maintain compliance has been phenomenal this year. And I really appreciate what our principals have done to make sure that our staff are attending to the compliance issues. And I appreciate how hard staff have worked to make this happen. So when we look at results, the first thing that is absolutely most important to me is that we provide on-time information to students and families. That is the most critical reason that we conduct a yearly IEP meeting is to make sure that we are providing on-time information to our students and families. I have provided up here for you a 2-year reduction rate so you can kind of see where we're at. So if you follow me, the first bullet there that is blank, you will see 23-24. We had an average of 31 out of compliance IEPs per month. And then we finished that year with 357 total for the year. And I would say that these numbers reflect the April date. We haven't gotten our May numbers quite yet. They usually finish up in the end of May. So these are year to year in the month of April. You will see then in the second bullet that there is a 24-25. We've got 8 per month out of compliance and 64 total for the year. That represents a 74% reduction from one year to the next. So that is an increase that is just, I think, phenomenal and provides great information to families. And we're really making sure that our families know what's in IEPs. And I'm just really proud of our staff and the work that they have done to do that. Not to mention, last bullet, as Jake would be happy with, it increases our reimbursement. So really good information, and I'm proud of the work that's been done with the IEP compliance. Then, now let's see if I can make this work right. Our speech and language services, second area of focus. So really the strategies are listed there for you. We've had the opportunity to work with individuals and teams to really take a look at, what does it mean when we're conducting evaluations? What are the current protocols that we're using? What are those things that we need to be in place? And we've also been able to help educate some of our community partners around some of this work. So when we think about results, you will see there's a potential changes for the evaluation process, some of the things that we may do differently in the future, working with our association partners on those particular things. Potential for consultation services, that's something that we have not done in the past, not offered consultation services, which really means that you're not seeing a kid on a regular basis, on a weekly basis or a daily basis. It's actually you're consulting with the teacher to make sure that the student is getting the specially designed instruction that they need, but on a much reduced rate. So it might be you see the teacher and the student only 15 minutes. So it is an acceptable way of providing specially designed instruction, and we are working with the association partners to have that happen. I'm also proud this year we were able to reduce our virtual providers, and so I'm just really proud of the fact that we don't have as many virtual speech and language pathologists. And that's because our current speech and language pathologists have worked real hard to make sure that we're going to be able to serve kids without adding some of those virtual providers. When we look at one-on-one services then, so you can see the strategies that we have used. I do want to say that I think what I'm most proud of in terms of the strategies that we have put in place is we have increased the access to Dr. Jamie Johnson, who has a great understanding of behavioral issues. Many of our one-on-ones are provided for behavioral issues for students. And so Dr. Johnson is there helping support that. Our board certified behavioral analyst, we've tried to create more availability for that, and our registered behavior technicians. The other piece that I think, and I appreciate Stacy's leadership in this, is as we look at enterprise leadership across the system, we have tried to work with our student services department to streamline what they do in with Section 504 in terms of one-on-one services and what special education does in terms of one-on-one services. The results that you see there are regular IEP, regular IEP team reviews for most of our new one-on-ones this year. We have conducted more functional behavior assessments and have put in place more behavior intervention plans this year. Again, thanks to our staff and their hard work. We also will have created a new process that I'll be sharing soon with staff for the acquisition, monitoring, and discontinuing of one-on-ones, and then that will be implemented in the 25-26 school year. So, and then finally, our +1. Really, what we have done is we have created a YSD-YE8 inclusion partnership, and I want to publicly thank Kevin Brennan for his work and leadership in this. He's the director of special education. He's sitting out in the audience. I hope he's turned red. And so just really proud of the leadership that he has provided to us. I'm also proud of the leadership and the work that we have had with Franny in really pushing for getting our kids more included every day in school. And I'm just really proud of the work that we have been able to achieve with that. And so we have a committee. That's how we tend to do things in public schools. We have a committee. And so we're working on common language, clear mission, vision. You can see all the things there. Our committee makeup, really proud of the people that are serving on that. We've got general education teachers, special education teachers, school psychologists are on that. You can see the list goes on. I'm also proud that we do have an assistant superintendent sitting on there. Thank you, Jake, for your time. Having someone at the cabinet level helping drive this work forward is helpful to us. And again, I also thank Franny for her work that she has done with us to help us move forward with our inclusionary practices. As we look at the bigger picture, though, of our +1 with our inclusionary practices, really, there are 3 steps. We're going to start with the whole committee, and we're working on that right now. Then we have divided into subcommittees, and really the whole committee is working on what are the barriers at the district level that are keeping us from including students more often every day. So that's what that large group is doing. And then the subcommittees will break into human resources. Thank you, Kim Newell, for leading that. The list goes on, breaking into those smaller areas so we can identify the barriers, and then we can figure out what are some outputs and outcomes that we want to have take place so that we can include all kids more often. And then the real work, and that's step 3, is the building teams. And that's where the real magic happens. And when we've gone and visited schools who have high levels of inclusionary practices, it's the school that drives it. It's the parents. It's the commitment between the parents, the students, and the school staff that really create those more inclusive environments where everyone can feel welcome. And so that's the work that we're doing. I'm just really proud of what we've been able to accomplish this year, and I'm proud to be leading it. So I would take any questions that folks might have.
Thank you, Casey. You probably don't have these numbers right off the top of your head, and if you don't, that's okay. But if we could, I would be interested in knowing the percentage of our special ed students that are included in inclusionary instruction.
Yeah, higher levels of inclusionary practices. Sure.
Right. As well as how many of our regular ed classrooms have special ed students included in them.
And I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but I can certainly provide them.
I would think
to Superintendent
I
Green.
know that you can provide them. I mean, I know you have that information like right just past your fingertips.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you could get that
Yes,
to
ma'am.
us, I think that might be informative for the board.
I got it. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate all the work. It's
Yes, ma'am.
special education, particularly IEP compliance, has been an area of focus for the board, and so really pleased to see the progress. And certainly we'll continue to focus on that and strive for zero auto compliance IEPs. Do you have a question?
That is the goal.
Thank you. Do you have a question around speech therapy work, and know that there was a high percentage of much higher than average percentage of students that were referred to our speech therapy programming, and know that that's been an area of focus for you and your team as well. Do you have any data that you can share around, where students referred or misassessed? Do we have any kind of that data that shows that?
I think that what's complicating, I do have some data that I could share with the board. I'd want to make sure that Deputy Superintendent Locke is helping me with that. But what I would say is that what is complicating about it, and I've talked to this before, is that with an IEP, it is an IEP team decision. And so the team actually makes, once an evaluation is done, then the team actually takes the information on the evaluation and says, do we think this student qualifies? And so it is the way the federal law is set up. And I think it's a beautiful setup, by the way. I appreciate that. But what happens is that you do get differing opinions about who should qualify and how they should qualify. And that's something that I think that we need to work on with our SLPs is making sure that we all have a common understanding, and a better understanding is something that I will continue to work on when we are evaluating what really does qualify for those services. So, and we have taken, thanks to Deputy Superintendent Locke, we have taken a closer look at some data that I believe we could share.
It should be great to see some of that data and what those changes are.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And again, congratulations on all the hard work to you and your staff to reducing the number of out of compliance IEPs.
It is 100% the staff. I just happen to be the one that gets to stand up here and talk about it.
Thank you.
Hang tight, Casey. We got one more question for you.
Actually, maybe a couple.
And he's back. Yes, I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
Thanks, Casey, for a comprehensive presentation.
Yes,
I did
sir.
have a question also around IEP compliance.
Yes, sir.
In my experience in the past, one of the big challenges with getting an IEP done is getting all the stakeholders in the room at the same time.
Exactly.
And so I'm wondering if we're beginning to utilize tools like Zoom or Skype or FaceTime in order to facilitate, getting that IEP done and not having to reschedule because somebody couldn't be there.
Yes, sir. That happens quite a lot. And, I know even as a director, I attend some of those meetings virtually that way. I do think that our staff work really hard to make sure that we get all the stakeholders present. And I appreciate that when we presented that at the beginning of the school year, Franny and I were both very direct with staff about and we're talking gen ed staff about the need for them to be present at these meetings. And so that we've gotten good support from YA in terms of that. I think that sometimes it can be hard to get everybody present, but if you plan well enough in advance, and that really is the key, then you have a better chance of having all stakeholders.
Thank you. The other question I have refers to kids with severe behavioral issues.
Yes, sir.
And we do, it's a remarkable job to train staff to do that. But sometimes I don't think we always train our parapros and our bus drivers and people that often have first contact with kids with severe behavioral problems. Is there a vehicle to begin to train some of those folks and how to effectively intervene or things not to do with kids that sometimes have severe behavioral issues?
I appreciate that question. And so we have a leadership team. It's the acronym is CTL. Please don't ask me right now what CTL stands for, but it is our leadership team, and they have created what we believe is a good starting point for our paraeducators. And I don't want to take away too much of their thunder here, but we have talked about de-escalation strategies. We also engage in the CPI training, and so that happens as well. And my Dr. Johnson has done a really nice job, along with Corey Phillips at our BCBA, to make sure that we've gotten people trained. So we continue to work on that. It is an area of growth for us.
Thank you. It's nice to have those resources
Yes,
in
sir.
place and thinking about it.
Yes, sir.
Jason.
So again, it's all T&L today, but I can't think. Kevin, you need to stand up. Kevin Brennan, the Director of Special Ed, stand up and be recognized. Yes. So between Casey and Kevin, they have done amazing work. Trevor and I have had the opportunity to observe the committee around inclusionary practice, and Franny's back there somewhere. And the work that's been going on in the best interest of our children is absolutely incredible. And the growth that the department has made in the last year is, I have to say, after watching everything go on for years and years, it's been phenomenal. We know we have a long way to go. We still uncover things under rocks. Casey and I talk on a daily basis, but the future forward looks fantastic for our students. Very proud of him and Kevin and the work that's been going on with the entire staff responding throughout the district in the area of special education. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it very much. Before we move on, I want to thank Hector, Jamie, and Casey, all three, for presenting tonight. These presentations are brought to the board on a scheduled rotation. It's not very normal that we have three of them in one evening. And they are brought to us in an abbreviated form. There is a longer presentation that is delivered to the board members when the agendas are posted. And if you ever hear a presentation, whether you're here in the room or you're watching online or after the fact, and you hear a presentation that strikes your interest and you want to know more about that particular program, the longer slide deck is always included in board docs, and you're able to access that through the YSD website board section, just like we are when we get it sent to us prior to the meeting. So thank you for the brevity. I know at 9 p.m. it's comical to say the word brevity, but all three of those are very important programs, and we really appreciate the updates that we've received this evening. We're going to move next to our section of updates. We'll begin with our section of updates from any member of the board. Does any member wish to report out this evening? Okay, then we'll move to our superintendent's update. Dr. Green.
Thank you, President Beckett, members of the board. Just a couple of items this evening. One, I would like to congratulate for a second time the Gilbert Elementary, our staff, our leadership there. As you know, they have been recognized for earning a Washington School Recognition Honor. This week, I did receive a letter from Nikki Torres. Senator Torres reached out and expressed her heartfelt congratulations to Gilbert Elementary for the well-deserved recognition by OSPI through the Washington School Recognition Program, which honors the incredible progress of the school in closing opportunity and achievement gaps, and the impact of that work cannot be overstated. Congratulations went forth to the principal and to the staff members of the elementary school. And this last paragraph I'd like to share with you says, I hope you and the school board take pride in this moment, take time in the coming weeks to celebrate these outstanding achievements. As senator of the 15th legislative district, it's both an honor and a privilege to recognize the exemplary work happening in our local schools. So I just wanted to share that additional kudo coming from Senator Torres. And then a little bit of bad news to share with you this evening. So this was received this evening regarding our Gear Up program. And I think, and Maria, are you here? Could I invite you to come up for just a moment to give a little background on the Gear Up program? So as she's walking up here, this is really relevant because the Gear Up grant that we did receive previously is serving quite a few of our schools and set to serve even more. And through that Gear Up cohort that rotates up, it impacts so many of our students. So if you just give a little bit of background on the schools that are participating, and then I'll go ahead and share the remainder. Nope.
Okay, good evening. So currently we have our 4 middle schools. We actually started last year with Franklin and DeLewis and Clark. So those students received support through the Gear Up grant and are now in 7th grade. And then this year we added Washington and Wilson, serving currently 6th grade students.
Could you share a little bit of what that entails as far as the services?
As far as the services, it really provides many opportunities that our students otherwise wouldn't have. For example, this year they've had the opportunity to participate in attending different college tours and just really, I'm sorry, what's up? Yes, I actually have a project with building bicycles and just learning just different engineering concepts through that work, but really exploring the world beyond the Yakima Valley and letting them know the opportunity that's out there. It'll really guide them through completing the FAFSA when they get actually starting in 8th grade, different professions that they get to explore. So just really career-oriented, secondary, beyond high school education, really just all of that, going through the college application process. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lucero. I know it was unexpected. Thank you. You may be seated. I'll go ahead and proceed. So the reason I wanted to share a little bit more about the Gear Up program is we have not had much of an opportunity to go into detail about the importance and the impact thereof. What was recently released within the last hour is notification through our Gear Up leadership is that the federal proposal for fiscal year 2026-27, so this is the federal budget, is including the complete elimination of funding for TRIO and Gear Up. So it may end quite suddenly. We do have tomorrow, there will be a opportunity to hear Secretary McMahon will testify before the U.S. House of Representatives. I will tune in and see what the position is, but I did want to share that with you right away. I do not want to end on a bit of bad news, so I will quickly pivot and just share with you that this morning I was able to attend one of our other opportunities in a partnership with both YVC and Central. And I think you're aware of the relationship with President Wolport and President Rich at YVC. We are doing having tremendous growth in the college and high school program. Central has now more classes taught than any other university in the state, and we have been able to provide tremendous opportunities through the staff that are becoming certified in our different buildings, which is truly a great opportunity for families who don't have equity of access and able to have those secured college level courses in their portfolio before they graduate. So I look forward to sharing you more detail about that and what the numbers actually look like here in the Yakima school districts as they have continued to increase in an impressive way. This does not eliminate or preclude the one cohort that is going through with Arizona State that continues, and those students will be graduating next year and currently number around, I believe, right around the 50 student mark for students that are going to earn their AA without having left high school or left the high school campus, I should say. So with that, I'll turn it back over to members of the board, President Beckett, unless you have any questions.
I have a question. Is this elimination of the Gear Up program a done deal, or is it dependent on passage of the budget that they're going to start looking at like 1 o'clock in the morning tonight?
It depends on the passage of the budget.
So we still have an opportunity to perhaps contact our House of Representative, congressmen, and other folks in the state to see if, encourage them to support that element of the budget?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a related question to the Gear Up, and that's the College Success Foundation has received significant cuts in the state due to also federal budgeting and state budgeting, and many schools have eliminated college success, but the report I read mentioned Yakima, I believe, and maybe Tacoma to some level may be exempt. Have you heard, do you have any more news on that?
I don't have any specific news. I have just a general number, but not, I don't feel comfortable citing the number as I would like to verify, but I will tell you that with the most recent budget that is currently being finalized and approved by the governor, our community-based organizations across the state are suffering significantly. So there's a tremendous, I would say, collaboration and a great conversation on how they can continue to exist. And there's even looking at, combining locations and all types of creative issues to make that happen. One of the people that I had the opportunity to speak with about this was Mary Furtakis was over the weekend was sharing what she's seeing on the west side of the state in particular with the community-based organizations. So as I find out more information, I can share the exact numbers, but I didn't write those down in the moment. But I want to say it's significant.
Okay, thank you all. Moving along, we do have an opportunity. We have a section in our board docs regarding highlights for community engagement. And of course, I would defer to our Executive Director of Communications and Engagement if she would like to elaborate on anything this evening. Kirsten, welcome.
Thank you, President Beckett. With your approval, I would refer everyone to board docs for that long list of events, given the time of evening.
I appreciate
And I
that
will
very
stay
much.
close for my next concise report.
Thank you very much, Kirsten Fitter. Moving along next, Mr. Cooper, our monthly financial update.
Good evening, everybody. Jake Cooper, Assistant Superintendent of Finance. Before I begin, a few things on the federal budget. I also heard news today that the proposed federal budget eliminates Title III and migrant funding. So we talked about those programs earlier. That's about $3 million that could be reduced out of the district budget. And I'll talk finances shortly. But again, there'll be some good news, bad news. We had set aside a $2 million hedge approximately for federal decline and unforeseen circumstances during the budget planning process. We might blow through that given what we're seeing. OSPI sent an email out recently to the fiscal officer, said, here's your federal allocations. They're the same as last year. You keep reading, but please budget 10 to 15% down. I'm not sure what that means. 10 to 15% for us on federal revenue is between $3 and $4.5 million, depends on how you slice it. So just drop that reality onto the floorboards before I begin my financial presentation. So we still have huge unforeseen headwinds. On the special education, we talk a lot about reductions when we're going through budget issues. Special education was a case where the program swung positively $2.5 to $2 million in revenue because IEPs were out of compliance. We were losing $1 million a year. And we weren't applying for safety net. Both of those things happened recently in the last couple of years. So there's a positive $2 to $2.5 million swing. So you hear about reductions, but we do things to increase revenue and efficiency. That is one important thing. So that's $2.5 million less we had to reduce out of the budget. And sorry to correct my number, highly capable is $477,000 annually. That funds about 3 to 3.5 teachers. And the last, I think I covered all three of them. Sorry. Before I begin, this is my monthly financial report. It's not as in-depth and in detail as the one you may have received during the budget process. Regarding where we're at financially, or actually chronologically speaking, Sinai was the 28th. I want the board and the community to know that the estimates provided by my office and presented were very close to actuals. So the tea leaves were read well. And so that's a fortunate place for us to be. So the legislative budget is within $1 million or so of initial estimates, which is made me have fewer gray hairs, I think, and sleep better. So that means this time of year, my office is doing line item budgeting, going into the details. We're building salary plans and then gathering all the rest of the salient information to build our required budget files for SBI. It's a lot of paper pushing to create the annual budget. It takes 9 or 10 months to do given the size and magnitude. So the good news is, as I've talked about the last few meetings, that the budget is starting to behave. And behave, I do that is because a budget this size has behavior. And when there were not sufficient internal controls on spending in place, we were unable to accurately project month-to-month balances. So our cash flow is above projection, and we are beginning to stabilize. There's our FTE trend. As you can see, a lot of the trends that we talked about go from 17, 18. This one is a 5-year look, some from 2021, and we continue to be flat in enrollment, and we will slightly curtail as we go down throughout the fiscal year. There's the budget versus actual. As I noted before, I overprojected secondary enrollment by a couple hundred students, and then most of that was due to the relationship with ALE and CTE. That problem has been remedied for next cycle. There's the cash flow. Cash is above projection, which is a good thing. So the green line, and I want to remind everybody at home or in the audience that cash also has $4.5 million of borrowed money in it. So if you look at the cash flow, there's a $4.5 million note in there for liquidity that the district will pay out of the general fund in December. So whatever you're seeing now on the cash flow line, drop that down by $4.5 million, and you'll get to where our actual cash position is. So cash is above projection because tax collections came in on or above projection, and then we also received like levy equalization this month, which tops the cash off. The other thing that made this cash balance a little higher is that we have some large payments. Second semester for Running Start will go out the door. You know, that's a big chunk of money as well, and so that was timed and pushed a bit later. Revenue, budget actual. As you can see, the blue bar is the actual and the budget. So revenue is tracking slightly below, in some months it's slightly above. However, when you look in totality, when you look at your expenditures on the next slide, budget to actual, as you can see, the black bar is the budget. So right now, payroll has leveled off to a steady, even pace, right under 20 million a month. You can see, I talk about the trough a lot, those spring months, January, February, March. You can see that we've leveled off and become predictable. We will pick up payroll as optional days and year-end pay comes through cash outs, et cetera, that will pick up. But again, the other fortunate thing that happened this legislative session is June is a light cash month, as we talked about, because the state gives more money in August. They used to give it basically divide 12 and you get 8 and change, right? Per month, but they have backloaded that money into August, 12.5% and 13%. So we're cash poor in that June and July months, and then we'll get an uptick of cash in August. So there's the MSOC trend, which material supplies and operating costs. This is a more volatile trend because, of course, some years we have curriculum adoption, some years we have ESSER. So that spend can vary. It has begun to level out. We're in a place now where our supplies and materials expenses, particular since Yakima has no other outside sources for capital funding. So we have no bond funding, there's no capital levy. We do have to spend a pretty good chunk of general fund money to keep the operations going that other districts don't have to expend out of the general fund. So if a roof goes here, out of the general fund, boiler, HVAC, elevator, you name it. So we have to continually budget for capital improvements in the general fund. And quite honestly, as Superintendent and I are talking, and Superintendent Marietta, we don't have enough capital money. Every summer, we're going to Band-Aid through some projects. We'll do paving, and then life safety stuff at the schools, and easily get accomplished over the summer, so we can get folks back in the building. So it's a side note, but again, our MSOC spend, you do not want to deteriorate those budgets too much further. We cut those significantly in the last budget reduction round. So. And then that is it. I know I was quick, but there is a large audience and they do not like to hear me talk too long. Overall takeaways, headwinds on the federal side, we talked about. I do not know if there's enough reserved for what's going to happen. Legislatively on the state side, the budget is right about where I anticipated, so that is good. And then again, we continue to look for efficiencies, not just reductions, but revenue enhancements as well. And if I'll take any questions, I'm glad to entertain them.
Thank you, Jake. It appears there are no questions this evening. We can move right along. This brings us to our first opportunity for public comment this evening. Thank you, Barb. This is the opportunity for a comment regarding agenda items. And we will begin with, I believe it's Mackenzie Rayfield. Is that correct? From MLK. Mackenzie, come on up, please. Welcome. And Mackenzie, before you begin, let me just state, in case you have not been through this process before, we do have a time limit. So I apologize if somebody gets cut off. It's so that we have an opportunity for everybody to be heard. So please don't take that personally, but your time isn't running yet, so don't worry. We appreciate you being here. Please begin when you'd like to. Thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to speak to kind of something that Frances talked about earlier tonight. She talked about how positions, I necessarily did not get riffed, but I did get moved. I've been moved twice in the past 3 years due to dual positions, even though I've been in the district 11 years. And the biggest problem that I'm having is with singletons, and I'm not sure if the board is aware, but there are singletons in multiple buildings, and with how much money we've put into things like PLCs, PLTs, and things like that, it is very difficult to be a singleton within a grade level. So I teach in second grade. I have 3 dual counterparts, and I'm the only English in my grade level, as there is one in kinder and one in first grade at my building. Some of the issues that we see, again, are just those teaming issues. We had class sizes, that was an issue, and that has since been resolved. And our principal really saw the need for another classroom to be open. So we're just seeing some of those large behaviors in those buildings as well. And then the biggest thing is that my classroom, my kiddos, and I'm speaking for them because they're not here to speak for them, but through K through 5th grade, they are only with those 20 kids. And if you can imagine, by the time now they're in 2nd grade, they're like siblings. And so they know how to push each other's buttons really well. And they've now missed out on the opportunity to see how other kids learn. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the year, again, mine is the English only classroom. One of the statements of my kids was, I asked them to go next door to one of the other teachers, and he said, I can't go over there. And I said, why? And he said, because she speaks Spanish. And I said, no, sweets. I said, everybody here speaks the same language. You can talk to any of those kids. And so we've really tried to make a conscious effort this year of incorporating those kids for my kids, seeing that they can be friends with the dual and see that they can be a part of that too. But I know that even, because as you guys move along, I know that you're creating more singletons in other buildings. And speaking as a singleton, it is an extreme challenge that I hope you guys take into consideration as you guys are moving forward into new buildings and having new dual classrooms that might not have that same support as somebody like an English classroom would have. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. Thank you.
I have a quick question before you go away, or maybe someone else can answer the question. What's a singleton?
A singleton, it refers to a single person in the classroom. So there's one English within, all the rest are dual. So if at another building, there's one dual and all the rest are English. So at grade level classrooms. Yes. So when you're planning for your curriculum, when you're doing those kinds of things, your curriculum is not the same as your teammates. So when you're kind of doing those plannings, I can't go next door and be like, hey, how did that lesson go? Because there isn't another person to see how that lesson went or what strategies are working unless I talk to someone at another building. But again, their kids are different than my kids too. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Sorry.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you for the clarification. Next on our list is David Gonzalez from McClure. David, welcome.
My name is David. My name is David Gonzalez. I'm from McClure Elementary. I'm a 5th grade teacher. I've been teaching for about 30 some odd years, taking 2 years off for an illness. I just want to talk about the librarians. I believe that the librarians are needed. They are essential for the students. It's very vital that they're there. And I think they need to be brought back. Another thing I'm here for is for our administrator. Hello, my name is David Gonzalez. You took my administrator. I want her back. Our administrator showed us to trust people. She showed us to communicate with people. She encouraged us, inconceivable, to actually work and create something. We created something this year that is now being torn apart because our administrator is being moved to a middle school. She was our principal, and now she's being moved, and she is going to be a vice principal. This is going to be our third principal that we've had in 3 years. And so how are we going to grow? And we've grown a lot this last year. How are we going to grow again after we have to create have some more confidence in our administrator to make sure that she's going to be capable of fostering communication, trust. I don't trust the district right now. I do not trust the leadership from the district right now because of what happened with our administrator. She worked very hard. She entrusted in us to create our PLCs. We did create those PLCs. And it feels to me, that our administrator was taken away from us because she gave us the freedom to work and to create something. We created something this year that I feel that we've grown a lot. Our kids have grown a lot. Our scores have shown that that somebody else will be talking about later on. And I am very disappointed that our administrator only having 7 months. Why? Because we were told last week that she was no longer going to be our administrator. I'm sure that decision was made earlier than that. She was not even given a full year. She needed a chance to prove that she could do the job. She was taken away, and I'm very angry. I apologize for the person that I took this out on last week, Ms. Locke. Again, I am sorry. You were just a messenger. I took it out on you because I was frustrated. I was upset. I'm still upset, as you can tell. Again, inconceivable that she created something and then taken away from us. I want my principal back. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, David. Thank you for being here tonight. Next on the list is Justin Nicholas. Welcome, Justin.
Is it on? Okay. Primera, muchas gracias a los padres de los estudiantes y los estudiantes que esperan tanto tiempo para este. Muchas gracias. I'm going to go off of a little thing I wrote down just because I feel like I gotta. My name is Justin Nicholas, and I'm a science teacher at Washington Middle School. I'm here tonight because I feel the need to talk about the real harm that's caused by the decisions to cut staff and move administrators, especially when those staff movements are going to negatively affect the students at our school district. I'd like to start with Peyton Wallen. She's an amazing second-year math teacher who consistently shows up for her kids. She and her teaching partner work hard every day to make math meaningful for the 6th graders at WAMS. She has totally bought into the PLC process, and her team is one of the most effective in our building. Losing her is not a staffing change. It is a blow to our school community. It is upsetting to the staff, the families, and the students who count on her every day. Beyond our building, cuts like this just lower the quality of education for students in the Yakima School District. Then there is the reassignment of our assistant principal, Nick Mifflin. Moving him from Washington to Franklin feels like a punch in the gut, not just to the staff, but to the students and families he has built trust with for the last 12 years. That kind of relationship and that kind of stability is not replaceable. It is clear that this move is going to hurt student outcomes at our school. And it is hard to ignore that decisions like this are made to benefit the more affluent parts of our district. These are not just personnel shifts or numbers on a spreadsheet. These are decisions that affect real people, real students, real families, real staff every day. And to do this while approving a pay raise for our superintendent borders on the absurd. The disappointment we are feeling me, colleagues, community, is hard to put into words, but if your goal was to destroy morale in this district, mission accomplished. I'm asking you, the board members and the superintendent, to listen to the people who are being impacted. Listen to the students and the staff who I know are reaching out to you. Those voices matter. If you keep ignoring them, you are turning your back on the people you were elected and appointed to represent.
Thank you, Justin. Next up is Jessica Bush. Jessica, welcome.
I am speaking to you with a heavy heart and a deep sense of urgency regarding the shift of Assistant Principal Nick Mifflin away from Washington Middle School. For the past 12 years, Nick has been a cornerstone of our school community. His presence is just not familiar, it's foundational. We are not just talking about a position or a title. We're talking about a man who has lived and breathed WHAMs for the past 12 years. Nick is not simply an administrator, but a pillar of our community, a steady presence in the lives of the WHAMs community. That's trust, built not in days or months, but in years of consistent compassionate service. Nick deeply understands the students, families, and staff. His roots here run deep, and the impact of his dedication is etched into every hallway, classroom, and student success story at Washington. We understand that change can be a sign of progress. Fresh perspectives often bring new energy, but not all change is progress. Removing Nick Mifflin from Washington Middle School is not a step forward, but a step back. The loss of his leadership, compassion, and commitment will cause more than a disruption. It will cause real and lasting damage to the moral and stability of our school community. So instead of pulling him out of Washington, why not collaborate with him and carry his ideas forward by empowering someone else to put them into action? After all, it's clear that Nick's heart and his mission is right here at Washington Middle School. Nick is a mentor, a steady presence, and a champion for our students who need guidance and someone who believes in them. He shows up early, stays late, and never treats any student like a number. By moving Nick to another school, doesn't matter which one, you are removing 12 years of stability from a community that has so little. To lose Nick now would be more than a staffing change. It would be a wound to the spirit of the school. It would leave a void that no job posting can fill, because this isn't just about qualification, it's about connection. And I ask, what message do we send to our students when someone who has poured his heart into the school for 12 years is forced to leave? Nick wants to be at Washington Middle School. He has always made this clear. Did you know that Nick commutes an hour and a half every day to and from Ellensburg? Did you know that Nick has job offers to lay roots in the Ellensburg School District only to decline because his heart and soul are solely dedicated to Washington Middle School? I don't think anyone here can argue that the WHAMs is not a fragile community where we deal with tragedies and traumas on a daily basis beyond the other schools. Taking Nick's strong leadership away from this community would be criminal. I urge you to reconsider removing Nick Mifflin now would fracture the very continuity that Washington Middle School needs to thrive. Let's not take from a community who is just deserving as the rest. With respect and deep concern, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next up is Nikki Hart. Nikki? Oh, it's you. Excellent. Well, glad you're here. Thank you so much.
I'm here tonight not just to speak to you as elected officials, but as a concerned member of this community, someone who deeply cares about our students, our teachers, and our families. This isn't just about the school board doing its job of fulfilling the commitment you made when you were elected. This is about the why you serve and who you serve. At the heart of it all is the well-being of our students, the benefit of the children. That should always be the center of every decision. Last year was devastating. The rifts, reductions in force, and the uncertainty that came with them caused widespread stress and trauma And that impact didn't stop with teachers. It reached out to our students, their families, support staff, and the entire school community, not just Washington. That kind of disruption leaves scars, and it raised serious questions. Do you question these decisions? Do you talk to the people who are actually in the schools, on the front line, teachers, staff, and families? Do you investigate the superintendent's suggestions, or do you simply accept them at face value? Because you can't just rely on one person's perception. You can't afford to trust the superintendent's word alone without digging deeper. The stakes are too high. These are our children, our schools, our community. Your responsibility goes beyond showing up to meetings. It requires real engagement, accountability, and courage. Let me say that again, and courage. Many of you have been in these roles for years, 4, 10 more, and with that experience comes a greater responsibility to lead with awareness and integrity. So I ask again, do you know why these changes were made? And do you truly believe they were in the best interest of the children? And let me say this too, instead of constantly rearranging administrators, shuffling people around as if that alone is going to fix things, build on what you have. Strengthen the people who are already here. Invest in them, support them, give them stability, encouragement, and the tools to succeed. That's how you build a strong district, not by disruption, but by development. I want to be honest with you, I am absolutely exhausted. I've spent so much time trying to figure out the right angle, the right tone, the proper and respectful way to reach you, to get this message across. I've thought carefully about how to express my concerns without blame, how to connect with you without confrontation. And it shouldn't have to be this hard to be heard. But let me say this clearly. I believe in you. I believe in the school board. I believe that you can and will step up and do the right thing in this instance, because that is the power you have. That is the part of your purpose. When things fall apart, when chaos is happening, or decisions are causing harm, you are the ones who can step in. You are the bridge between the superintendent and the schools. You are the ones who can say, wait a minute, let's reevaluate.
Thank you, Nikki. Next on the list is Elizabeth Peaky. Elizabeth, are you here? Okay. Next on the list then is Kate Rutger.
Hi, my name is Katie Rudger. I've been a special education teacher for 18 years, and this is my 11th year teaching for Yakima as a developmental preschool teacher. I don't come here tonight to be adversarial or accusatory. I simply want you to understand how changes made by district level directly impact the work of those who are in the classrooms with students every day. I'm here on behalf of the staff of Discovery Early Learning, some of whom are here if you want to raise your hands. Last week, we received notice that our assistant principal, a full-time position, has been reassigned, and in his place, we will have a half-time assistant principal who is new to our building and staff. This is concerning for many reasons. First, after several years of transition, this is our first school year having all staff together on one campus. There have been growing pains, of course, combining a staff of more than 80 from over 4 different sites, but we are learning how to best function as a school. This work is done with and alongside our assistant principal. His knowledge of our past successes and challenges helps us build the foundation going forward. He has been one of the greatest sources of stability for most staff over the previous few years. And while we know we won't get to keep him indefinitely, this is not an ideal time to replace him, as it will cause great disruption. Secondly, the job responsibilities of our assistant principal are a little atypical compared to other schools. Of the students at Discovery Early Learning, over 3/4 of them are on an individualized education program or IEP. So prior and deep knowledge of and experience with special education is a must.
We have to have a district rep at every single one of our 230 to 250 IEPs that we hold as a staff every single year. And after Casey talked, we know now that that compliance, getting a district rep there is really important. 2 full-time administrators can't do it. So teachers and case managers have to find a school psych or an SES administrator to help fill in that legally required gap. Due to the nature of our work, all year long, our assistant principal assigns new evaluations to speech therapists, IEP writing to teachers, and class placements to one of many different types of classrooms. Discovery Early Learning does not have a school counselor or a behavior specialist, and our assistant principal wears the hats of both of these supports for staff and students. If there's no other way that the district can afford to keep our full-time assistant principal, and we strongly appeal that you do, it is logical to keep at least him with us half-time and let him get another school half-time, because the person who's coming for us is getting 2 new schools as well. One of which is McClure, who's losing their principal. So they can maybe just learn 1 new school for the year. So we're respectfully requesting that the district leadership take feedback from those whose daily job functions are affected and reinstate John Solar as our assistant principal.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate. Our next speaker is Suki Covell. Suki, welcome.
My name is Suki Covell. I teach first grade at McClure Elementary. I've been there 18 years. I would like to share how the RIFs, librarian termination, and administrative moves have affected our school. For the 2nd year in a row, approximately 25% of our staff was RIFed, mostly dual language teachers. This again caused stress and uncertainty on teachers, many of them having 5 years or less of teaching. At a time when the profession is trying to maintain teachers, the RIFing process is driving them away, often to other districts or professions. Who suffers the most from these RIFs? The answer is the students. Students suffer due to diminished educational experiences because of increased class size. Students suffer because they lose the one trusted adult they go to for help. Students suffer due to a decline in quality instruction, since teachers may have to take a position they are not currently qualified to teach. Bottom line, students suffer. Additionally, I was saddened to hear that all middle school and high school librarians will be cut. Students create a special bond with their elementary librarian. This teacher helps foster a love of reading and appreciation for a variety of genres. Who will help middle school and high school students navigate their library needs? Who will help them find the just right book or research materials needed? Who will keep the libraries stocked with books to appeal to students' interests? Who will suffer from this loss? Bottom line, it's the students. Lastly, I wanted to speak about the recent administrative moves. To begin with, Dr. Green's email referenced assistant principals only. Imagine our surprise to learn we would be losing not only our assistant principal, but our principal as well. Moving admin around to different buildings may fit the needs of the district's bird's eye view, but each building is unique and each admin fills the role needed at their building. The families, sorry, I lost my place. The bird's eye view does not take into account the relationships built, admin to staff, admin to families, and admin to students. I understand change is something that happens in life. I understand students need to learn about change so they can adapt and grow as human beings. At our school, students count on our admin to get them through the day. They need to know in their uncertain little worlds that school and the staff who work there are constants. In the end, who will suffer from these moves? It's the students. In closing, YSD wonders why student enrollment is declining. I am beginning to wonder if it has to do with the district's RIFs, termination of positions, and administrative moves. YSD needs to do a better job of being fiscally responsible, because the ones who are suffering the most due to budget shortfalls, admin changes, and librarian cuts are the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Suchi. Next is Teresa Maldonado. Teresa, are you here? Welcome, Teresa.
After the last meeting, I went grocery shopping a couple of days later and I met with a couple of people that I've known for years that work in the Yakima School District. And I told them, why aren't you guys at the meeting? You guys work for the Yakima School District. And they said, well, let me tell you, I think we need to give you a wake-up call. I know they get upset because what we're gonna tell you. The meetings are just held just to say, because they comply with the public. But in reality, they're very disrespectful. They're always on the phone talking to each other. And they're not listening to you when you're talking to them and let them know that what they're doing is wrong. And you say you're ripping teachers because there's no funding. And this is what I was told, that there's no funding, but you're ripping teachers, but you're creating new jobs here in the administrating office and giving yourself raises. But also you have to understand how the teachers feel when they're being moved from one school to another. And also it's affecting the students because they have to see their teacher not be returning back in September because you're not managing well the funding. And today, without surprise, I met the guy that enters the information into the computer. So the Yakima School District would get the funding. And I told him, hey, you're not doing a good job because look at the best you're doing. It says, it is not our fault. We just enter the information. And if they're giving us the wrong information, it's in their part, not in ours. But in reality, we need the librarians back because who's going to help the students make an essay or check out books or other information? Even the public sometimes goes to the Davis High School. I'm one of the parents that goes up to the high school to ask the librarians because they're mainly the ones that know more information. But look at the stress you're putting on the teachers because you're riffing them. And then how are they going to support their families and be out there? And also it's affecting the students because they're not going to be seeing their teacher, the teacher they connected to. And it's very important you start listening to the public and to the teachers because they're the ones that are there for the students. And that's why I'm telling you, you need to get rid of the jobs you created and call back the teachers you ripped, because I still know a couple of teachers you ripped that haven't been called back because you are you're mismanaging the funding for the teachers, and the teachers are needed for you to listen to them because they're the ones that are always there for the students, not this board.
Next on our list is Genesis Briseno. Welcome.
Good good evening, everyone. My name is Genesis Briseno. Buenas tardes a todos. Yo me llamo Génesis Briseño y estoy aquí talking on the behalf of Mr. Mifflin. I'm really worried about Mr. Mifflin possibly getting moved to another school. As a Washington Middle School student, I've had the opportunity to get to know him and see how much he cares about our school and us, the students. Mr. Mifflin is more than just a vice principal. He's a mentor, a friend, and someone who genuinely wants to see us succeed. He's always there to listen, to offer advice, and to help us out when we need him. He has made a huge difference in our school, and I know I'm not the only one who feels the same way. If he gets moved, it's going to be really tough for all of us. We'll miss his guidance, his sense of humor, and his support. It's not just about him being a great administrator, it's about the relationship he has built with us and the impact he had in our lives and has in our lives. I know that decisions like this are often made with the best intentions, but I want to ask you to consider how this move would affect us students. We're not just numbers or statistics. We're real people who care about our school and our community. Please don't take Mr. Mifflin away from us. Let's find a way to keep him here at Washington Middle School where he can continue to make a difference in our lives. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Genesis. Mr. DeWitt? Duff, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Genesis, that was awesome. I can't believe I got to follow you, girl. Nice job. All right, Duff DeWitt, YEA bargaining chair. What Ms. Guerrero is handing out to you today is just a collection of the information that's on OSBI about the way that our district is spending the money, and that's in our budget. Mr. Cooper's been nice enough to show us what an incredibly low percentage of our budget goes to administrative costs, 10.19%, which overall in the state of Washington districts in the top 30 in FTE is fairly solid. It's pretty good. The sad part about that, though, is it's the student-facing administrators that are the lowest percentage. In the low 4.35% is what our building administrators come out of the budget, whereas the central office administration is 5.83%. Other districts that are similar to our spending on central administration would be districts like Edmonds, Everett, Spokane, Seattle, Lake Washington, some of the districts that have, like size as far as FTE goes, much larger than ours is. Many of those districts operate right around 4.5% to 5% for central administrative percentage of budget, right? So when you look at where our certificated dollars come out, we sit 27th out of 30th in percentage of dollars in the budget that is spent on certificated staff salary. We sit 26 out of 30 on district building administrative salary percentage of, yet we are 12th in central office administrative salary. So when we see that we are in a budget crisis, I would expect that all facets of what we do look like we're in a crisis, not just the student-facing portions of our budget. And at this point, I think the emotion that comes out of the student-facing changes and challenges is more than I could express here today. What we would like to see is that if we are all in this huge crisis together, that we are acting like we are all in this crisis together, and that we could right-size the central office administration salaries to look like the rest of us. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Duff. Next on the list is Jeff Murray. Welcome, Mr. Murray.
Oh, I may just cry for the entirety of my 3 minutes, and that might prove my point better than what I'm about to say. Here to advocate for my teaching partner, Peyton Wallen, bottom of the list, 2 years in a row. That's all I can say about that. She wants to teach middle school math. And I think it takes a particular kind of crazy person to want to teach middle school math. We need more of those crazy people. There's a picture that I want to get in everyone's head, and it's in our district equity training. It's a picture of, it's a cartoon of 3 people standing on boxes trying to look over a fence. You guys know this picture? Well, I'm in this district training my first year, and I'm looking at those 3 kids, and I'm thinking, which one of those kids is Washington? And you already know what I'm going to say. We're the kid that can't see over the fence. And I came up with a really unhealthy motto for myself. And this just gets you into the psyche of a deranged middle school math teacher. My motto for the last 3 years, be all the boxes. And I'm here tonight to ask for more boxes. And I mean metaphorical boxes. We need more support so that our kids can see over the fence. Because when my students come to me 65% well below every year, and they don't know what a fraction is, and they don't know how to subtract, I'm trying my best to be all the boxes, but we're losing our best administrator. And I'm supposed to believe this is for our benefit, that this move is supposed to somehow take our school to the next level. I'm sorry. There's no amount of flowery language that is going to convince me of that. So Trevor, you sent out an email, and you sent a lot of kind emails, and they're well worded. I got to give you props for that. But the last one we got was a few sentences that said, I hope you feel seen and heard on Teacher Appreciation Week. And I have to say, I don't feel seen, and I do not feel heard. I see the rest of my time.
I think next on our list, we have a student, last name of Flores from Washington. Welcome. Come on up. I apologize. I couldn't read your first name, but please, welcome, please.
I feel like it's very unfair that like you guys have to take like Mr. Mifflin from like us students, and I feel like the impact that of you taking him from the students is like gonna be like great, because like how do you say that, like my time at Washington, right? Like he's like helped me like through with everything. Like in the beginning when I first got there, I didn't know like much about the school, or like I didn't know math and stuff like that. But when I was like in trouble, like he would actually try to work out with me and like, you know, like actually try to like help me and like not get me in trouble like that. But yeah, it's just like the impact of him leaving will be like massive, and like the benefit of like Franklin like won't be as massive, you know, like they won't have a greater like how do we say that, a greater margin of how good Washington's doing right now with him than how good they're gonna do with him. Like, you know, it's like if you move him, like it's gonna be unfair for the students to like move on, you know, like, and yeah, that's really all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on the list, I believe it's Edwin.
He had to go home. His mother requested him because it was 10 o'clock.
Next on the list is Sarah Park. Welcome, Sarah.
My name is Sarah Park. I'm in my 21st year of teaching kindergarten. All of my career is kindergarten, all at McClure Elementary School. I'm very proud of that. I wanted to comment tonight on your many, many moves of administrators announced last week, specifically removing both of our administrators from McClure after not even 1 year together. So Dr. Green, in your email, you stated that these moves are to support commitment to developing leadership, strengthening teams, and improving outcomes for students. I'm seeking clarification on each of those matters. In regards to your commitment to developing leadership, how can that be accomplished how can they develop specific skills when they are moved after less than a year to a completely different level from elementary to secondary, or our incoming principal from secondary to elementary. While I was meeting her at our meet and greet, she said, "Oh my gosh, that's right, we have recess." She has no frame of reference for what I am sure she's a very capable person. It's nothing against her as a person at all. However, she doesn't come with the skill set that our current principal has, and she doesn't have the deep knowledge of her staff, students, and family. It just seems like you're cutting them off at the knees. Developing leadership skills takes time. Building trust and relationship takes time. Relationship is one of the 3 R's for our district: rigor, relevance, and relationship. I am struggling to see relationship actually being held to that standard of one of the 3 important things that we value. Seeing the effects of hard work takes time. So when you talked about how this will strengthen teams, how does changing leadership so quickly in so many different buildings work to strengthen our teams? Thanks to our administrators' belief and commitment to PLCs and the work that's been built in as she was a vice principal under another principal who believes in PLCs, we can truly say that we've seen huge success in our effectiveness in McClure, and you can see that in our students' scores. However, our principals, the decision to move them happened before even looking at our spring scores. That hasn't even been seen yet before the decision was made. The rapport and mutual respect that Stephanie Casillas has worked so hard to build in our staff, it feels like it's being stepped on and trampled. And I'm running out of time because I'm emotional and off script. I just, the last thing is outcome for students. And I just don't see how the bird's eye view could show you enough of zooming in to see the most important part.
Thank you, Sarah. I believe it's Claudia Ramirez. Am I saying it correctly? Welcome.
I'm here today to speak to elected officials. Please don't take an amazing, caring, supportive person from us. Mr. Mifflin has helped me grow as a person. Every bad decision I made, he has helped me in everything. He has guided me through the right path in life. And he doesn't deserve to move. The school that he's going to move to may not, I don't know how to say it like. It might just not be as good as ours, right? He undoubtedly has helped many students in their lives, and he's always been there for everyone. I know it really doesn't matter what I say, but I still wanted to fight for Mr. Mifflin because he deserves to stay at Washington Middle School and not go to a different school because he doesn't want to. That's all.
Hi.
Thank you, Claudia. Steve McKenna. I saw Steve. Welcome, Mr. McKenna.
Testing. My name's Steve McKenna. I'm a former teacher in the Yakima School District, former YEA president. And I've been talking to you folks all year long since riffs from last year. This is the third riff I think we've had in the last calendar year. And The board needs to be more prepared for these meetings to actually understand what's happening in the YSD. Policy governance has led to several firsts this year. The first officially declared financial calamity to lay off classified personnel in October. The first time that a levy has been used as collateral for the 4.5 million TAN loan that is due in December. That was used to cover cash flow so that paychecks would not bounce in September. This financial mismanagement was dealt with by the board by giving the superintendent a 12% increase to his base salary in March for next year, which also applies to his optional days. He already makes $372,000 this past year, which is much more than the governor of the state of Washington, over $150,000 more. Last month, the board has approved a RIF of 43 certificated personnel and 5 classified personnel that serve students. Librarians serve students directly. Instead of cutting these personnel, you could cut the $732,000 public relations budget. That should happen first. Staff in teaching and learning that do not serve students should be cut before classroom teachers. The Yakima School District spends $16.7 million in central office administration, which is $4.3 million more than they spend on all administration in all school buildings in the districts. The central office should be cut before personnel in school buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is it Gladys? Welcome. Please come on up and thank you for being here.
Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Gladys. I come from Washington Middle School. I saw that you guys emailed our school or sent out a message, and I saw and I heard that you were moving Mr. Mifflin. Sorry for getting emotional. Okay. Mr. Mifflin has helped me through a lot, and many students, especially my sister. Okay. 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 At the start of 6th grade, I was terrible. When I tell you, I was terrible. And throughout the years, he's helped me realize that middle school is not so bad. And he's always been there, helped me. I never got in so much trouble. I know coming from my 8th grader about to leave, it doesn't really mean much. But trust me, it does. By me seeing other students come in, especially from 5th grade, knowing how immature some students can be, I feel like Mr. Mifflin makes really big impact. And yes, I'm saying this at the top of my head. I feel like it wasn't necessary to write something down. So what I'm here to say is that I feel like it's not necessary to take him away. He's been in our school for at least 12 years, and I want that to continue. He's made and he's had such an impact in our school. He has made the mentoring program for teens, in which I am in. I love that. I really do. If you go to our school, you'll see that there's a big old light, and he made that happen. He makes everything happen. And that's why I really appreciate him. And it's like sad for me to like see him go because he's really made such an impact at our school. And it would be just like, as you can see, it like breaks my heart. It's like, it might be that, or it might because I'm really nervous. But at the end of the day, it's not fair. Just because another school is doing bad doesn't mean you get to take away our star of the show, as I would say. Mr. Mifflin is like the best, if I'm being honest. You might see him as like a regular vice principal. He is not at all. He's helped me, my sister, especially my sister, but mostly me. I wish my sister was here, but sadly she's not. She would tell you the exact same thing. To this day, he's helped my sister, he's helped me. And it's like, I can't see that like go. I can't like new kids are coming in. He's like the one person that could actually
Gladys, I want to thank you very much for having the courage to come talk to the board tonight. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Vicki Dwight. Welcome, Vicki.
We should be very proud that we are producing students like that for the community. Please give all our students another hand. My name is Vicki Dwight. I'm a former YSD teacher and former YEA president, long time ago. As you consider the changes tonight with staff moves and RIFs, I'd also like you to consider reviewing what I've talked about before here, that might help somehow. I don't know, zero-based budgeting. Again, going out, surveying people in the schools. What do they need? Work from the zero-based, work from, I don't want to say the bottom, if it's not the bottom. You know what I mean? Thank you, baseline. I'm a little rusty. I'd also like you to reconsider policy governance. It's been well documented that policy governance just isn't really effective during a crisis. And I also think it sort of separates people. And the last, I also mentioned the survey. I wasn't going to speak about Mr. McFlane, but I think, what a guy. He's got it. Not every teacher gets it. It's not, for me, it wasn't about rigor, relevance, relationship. It was the opposite. It was relationship, relevance, and then the rigor. And he obviously, first their hearts, then their heads. And that was written all over tonight. That was all over from the students. And so I really hope that you review some of the staff changes you made. What I was going to come to talk about was the librarians. And, besides all their cognitive qualities that they bring to every school, they also offer some affective qualities. Libraries have often been a refuge for many of our at-risk kids. We've seen kids hide because they're being bullied or because they just, are shy or they just feel like a misfit or out of touch with the other students. I've seen them before school. I've seen them during lunch. I've seen them hiding after school. And I have seen some incredible librarians take them under their wing and work with them and offer them teachers and working with counselors, being very collaborative to try and raise this student. So I would really ask you to reconsider. I have one more thing, if I can pull these papers apart. I would like you to reconsider riffing those librarians. They also provide emotional support, and we can always use another layer of emotional support. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you for being here tonight. Rachel? Is it Boucher? I wasn't sure if it was Boucher or Boucher. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Boucher. I am the IF at McClure Elementary. These past few years have brought tremendous change to our district. Going through COVID, going through the rollout of dual language to all of our buildings, the budget shortfalls, the rifts, all of these have caused major shifts in our staff with constant changes to our grade level teams, and it's made it very difficult to kind of grow our PLCs. And as an IF, I get to sit and watch. I get that privilege to sit and watch and see that happen and help in any way I can. We have teams that have changed almost every year because of these shifts. This year in our building, we have a new administrative team. Unsure of why, we are losing both of them, which blows my mind. We've been assured that it's nothing that anyone did wrong, that the moves were carefully considered, and that you're committed to ensuring that our strong systems will continue with our next leaders. And I have confidence that our staff and these new people that will come in, we will all do our best. We will always do our best to manage the change and to support our students. But it's just, these changes are huge. We're moving someone from high school who's amazing down to elementary. And I'm nervous that with changes up at the district level and changes in our buildings, how are we going to support this? How are we going to make that happen? And what's crazy is that this has been a growing year for us at McClure for both staff and our leadership. Our teachers and teams have had the responsibility of the PLC process truly put into their hands, and they have flourished. So I'm not sure why or where the decision was made. From a certified staff survey in March, I have tons of data that I can give you, but this is what we created in our building. We asked questions of the certified staff. It was anonymous. 94% of our certified staff feel that the feedback that they received from their evaluation contributed to their growth as an educator. 97% of them feel that the principal is effectively communicating with the staff, that they're visible, she's visible and engaged with our students. In addition to that, our student data has never been as good as it is this spring. We, in our English only classes, grew 20% in our at or above benchmark scores for composite. That's the most since I've been there, which is since 2020. Our dual language students grew 37% in their at or above benchmark scores. We don't want to stop the forward momentum. Dr. Green, in May, you had an interview and you said nothing makes a difference like a high quality teacher in the classroom. And the second greatest impact for student learning is a high quality admin in the building. Do not take our administrators away, please. We haven't even had a full year. And I agree with you about this. And we've been affected by the rifts in a crazy way. We've lost 3 amazing teachers last year, 2 this year. We've had 8 teachers each year. And it's not in the best interest of our students.
Thank you, Rachel. Annie Blake? Annie? Annie still here? Annie Blake? Then Michael Clark.
My name is Michael Clark, and I have a few thoughts about RIFs and their effect on equity. You may remember last year I advised you not to RIF, and I suggested that you follow a different path that is more equitable, where you hold the people accountable who caused the problem instead of taking it out on the line workers. You didn't take my advice, and you neither solve your problem either. You've had to RIF 2 more times. You had to take out a payday loan to make payroll. It's not working. I don't think you have found the problem. That RIF that you put in place last year, I don't know what the full economic impact of it was, but I believe on the teacher side, it didn't save you any money. Matter of fact, I'm guessing it cost you money. And the reason I say that is because every time we ask how many teachers were actually laid off, how many people did not return, we're told a couple. It's not a very precise number, but that's what we're told. Now, if that's true, and even assuming that's not true, if there were more people laid off than that, say there were 5, 6, 7, then the RIF actually cost you money, because the latest reporting from last month is that we are 7.5 teachers short in K3. And with K3 teachers, if you don't deploy them, you don't get reimbursed for them. We could have taken those teachers and put them in those positions, and the state would have paid their salaries. As a matter of fact, the state pays an average salary. So if you're retaining junior teachers, we would have made money on the deal. Now, I wish I could tell you that this was the first time that this has happened. It hasn't. This is the 5th time in 6 years. Okay? We have been shortchanging our students to the tune of $12 million in the last 6 years. This is money that the state is trying to give us to provide educational services to them. This is money that kids in other districts are benefiting from, and in Yakima, we're having a serious problem making that happen. Somehow, we have forgotten our primary duty, and I think it's time for us to fix that problem. Thank you.
Thank you all for your public comment tonight. I think that takes us to the end of that list, unless, let me double check. I think that is, okay. We have a number of items left to go through. I'm going to take about a 3-minute recess, and we will reconvene in 3 minutes or so. We'll be back about 10:27. Thank you. At this point, we're at section D for our consent agenda. Any item from the consent agenda can be pulled from the consent agenda if anybody would like to review it. The consent agenda this month includes the minutes for April of 2025, the notification of approval for warrants for April, the approval of personnel actions, and the budget status reports for April 2025. Does any member wish to have any item pulled for discussion this evening? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve this night's consent agenda.
Second.
So moved. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. That takes us to our section for approvals. And to begin with, we'll turn it over to Mr. Murrieta.
Thank you. What I am seeking is the purchase of 3 special needs electric school buses. The requested action is that the Board of Directors approve the purchase of 3 28 passenger special needs electric school buses from RWC Group in the amount of $1,484,939.22. YSD strategic plan alignment, not applicable. The fiscal impact is $647,288.42. Will come from the Yakima School District State Depreciation Transportation Vehicle Fund, and $837,650.79 will be awarded by the Washington Department of Ecology Air Quality Clean Diesel Electric School Bus Grant. Do you care for any of the background information, or may I take
Thank you,
any
Mr.
questions?
Marietta. I think that is adequate. Appreciate the requested action and the rationale. The board is being asked to approve the purchase of 3 28-passenger special needs electric school buses from RWC Group in the amount of $1,484,939.22. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or clarification on the issue?
I just want to make sure that the viewing public knows that school buses come out of the transportation fund and not out of the general fund, and those monies cannot be mixed.
That is a great clarification, along with the grant that is involved in this particular process as well. Any other discussion on the item? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Marietta. Our next approval is in regards to the contract with American Sign Language Professionals, and we'll turn it over to Deputy Superintendent Stacy Locke.
Good evening, Board. I'm requesting approval to increase our current American Sign Language class in the amount of $285,000. Huh? What did I say? It's late. Current contract. Did I say class? Sorry. To increase our current contract with American Sign Language Professionals in the amount of $285,000 for a total of $585,000. The additional $285,000 will provide the additional support we need for our special needs students. Any questions?
If there are no questions, the board is being asked to grant permission to increase the current contract with ASL Professionals for the 24-25 school year from $300,000 to $585,000 to cover the additional services to support students with special needs.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and the second. Is there any discussion on the item? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. Thank you, Stacy. Our next approval item is regarding Resolution 07.24.25, our annual resolution delegating authority to WIAA. Dr. Green, would you like to speak to
I
this?
think you've just summed it up perfectly. This is a form that's signed every year delegating authority to the WIAA, which is necessary for us to be a competing entity with our middle schools and our 2 traditional high schools.
Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 07.24.25?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the action? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Dr. Green. This takes us to our second opportunity for comments from the public. Barb is checking to see if we have anyone else signed up. No. All right, then. That takes us to our.
Mr. President?
No. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Would it be possible to table section E and bring those 2 items back at a future meeting?
Section F.
F. Yeah. F.
Are either of these items time sensitive? Well, then, hearing no objection, we'll postpone section F to our next scheduled business meeting.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
We need to move anything on that? We need to move on that?
It's an agenda change, so we probably should.
Do we have a motion? Well, I'm assuming you made the motion, correct? Do we have a second to Martha's motion?
I'll second.
Very nice.
I'll
very
third
nice.
it.
Thank you
I'll
very
third
much.
it.
Dueling motions.
It feels like we're getting close to it. I love it. Okay, and is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Section F will be transferred to our next scheduled board meeting. Do we have any need for executive session this evening?
No need for executive session.
Hearing no need for executive session, then I'd like to thank everyone for being here so late, for your participation this evening. We are adjourned.